Hi, welcome back everybody to the Daily Cooking Show. Hello, hello, hello. I missed you all so much. I know it's only been a day. And yet, here we are with the Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. If you're watching this live, it is currently, of course, 5 p.m. EDT. It is Wednesday, May 1st. We're kicking off May, and we have some really, really exciting stuff today. Hello to Trash Can Cat Mom. Hello to Okay But Does. Hello to Kurana Kushi. Hello to Cherry NASV. Also, hello to Tarina Chess. Hello to Laz. Hello to Jack. Hello to Dosky. Hello, my little sous chefs. It's lovely to have all of you today. It's good to see you. I missed you all so much. Also, hi and welcome on into Man on the Net. Everybody, today's stream is going to be really, really exciting, and we'll talk about why I think it's exciting. We'll talk about the purpose and the meaning behind these dishes for me that we're going to be doing today. Guys, we're going to be doing some real, proper Turkish food today. The first thing that we're going to be doing is going to be a Turkish red lentil soup. So let's go ahead and take a look, my friends. I have here a nice big sack of Turkish red lentils. The lentil soup in Turkish, I believe it's called Mercimek Çorbası. Mercimek Çorbası, something like that. It's really, really simple. It's really, really delicious. And so why am I doing a red lentil soup today? Well, I'm actually quite new. I'm quite unaccustomed to actually cooking and working with lentils. It is something I wanted to do a little bit more, especially because pulses, especially because legumes are one of my favorite things to eat. Okay, and so I love lentils to death. They're super nutritious, they have a lot of protein inside of them, and most importantly, they're really cheap. So something that I'm trying to do in my own personal diet is I'm trying to get some more protein sources that aren't necessarily just meat all the time. In addition to wanting to just generally reduce my meat intake, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, meat is kind of expensive. And so we're gonna be doing this Turkish red lentil soup. This red lentil soup is something that I grew up eating. My area of Brooklyn has a really, really big Turkish population. This red lentil soup specifically, you would see served in all the different restaurants. I would always get it anytime I would go out to eat. It's super silky, it's super creamy. You would garnish the top of it with a little bit of lemon, and it's really, really simple and it's really delicious. I've never made it before, and so I want to get into the habit of making it myself because I don't want to just have to rely on other restaurants to be able to make this at home. So guys, everything today is going to start with this, a nice beautiful bag of red lentils. You can substitute this for yellow lentils, but you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot use brown lentils, you can't use green lentils, and you can't use black lentils. The reason why you have to use red lentils is because red lentils and yellow lentils, they're already skinned. They're peeled and they're split in half. Lentils, they have a very thin layer of skin, and thus black lentils, brown lentils, and green lentils, they all have that skin. Also, hello to Eleonora and to Thinato. So everybody, we're going to be starting off with some red lentils today for the red lentil soup, of course. And then here I have a lovely little assortment of vegetables. Now, in addition to the red lentil soup, guys, we're going to be doing some İzmir Köfte. This is going to be a Turkish baked meatball. And so we have some lovely potatoes. The potatoes are going to bake with the meatball as well. We'll also have one potato in the lentil soup itself to help with the thickening. We're going to use some of the starch of the potatoes to give us a nice viscosity. We also have some lovely carrot that's going to go into the soup. It's going to get blended up. We have a lemon for some garnish. And then we have onions for the classic aromatic allium quality. Okay, so let me just go ahead and set all of that behind me. Everybody, for the İzmir Köfte, we're going to chop up a nice little red pepper. It's just going to go in there. It's going to stew with these meatballs. It's going to stew with the potatoes. And then we also have some lovely tomatoes here as well. Okay, and these tomatoes, we're going to char them. We're going to blend them down. And that is going to be the sauce that it then cooks in. Okay, so they make this lentil soup a bit different in restaurants. It has a unique green color. Not in my restaurants. In my restaurants, it's always like yellow or red. Okay, and then guys, we also have a jalapeno because I already had this in my fridge and I wanted to get rid of it. In addition to that, for the İzmir Köfte, guys, we have a little bit less than a pound of some ground beef here. We're going to mix it up with some cumin. We're going to mix it up with some chili. We're going to mix it up with some parsley. We're going to shape it up. We're going to bake it with the potatoes. We're going to bake it with the vegetables, and we're going to also bake it with the tomato sauce. So it's going to be really delicious. It's going to be really yummy. And so, guys, everything that I'm trying to do today is we're just doing cheap home food. We're using ground beef and we're using lentils as the main body of all the different things that we're making. I feel like oftentimes, especially at home, you can easily get caught into the habit of like, okay, I only want to do chicken, I only want to do steaks, I want to only do big cuts of meat for protein. And so I just want to be able to sort of diversify my skill set in getting some more protein sources that aren't just innately, expensive cut of meat based, right? So we have some ground beef and then we also have some lentils, and we're going to make some really delicious dishes out of both. So guys, we have a lot that we need to do today. We gotta get the meatball mixture made. We gotta get the tomato sauce done. Is everybody ready for today? I wanna hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching, from everybody tuning in, even if you haven't spoken in here before. This is the best cooking show on Twitch. If you know, you know, and welcome on in. And as always, if anybody has any cooking questions at any point, please feel free to ask me. My goal is to get all of you more comfortable with the process of cooking at home. So ask me any questions that you may have. Also, hi to SVT, it's been forever. Ask me any quick cooking questions that you may have. I'll be going down into detail about why we're doing each step, okay? So everybody, I believe that you and I, that's us, hi. I believe that we could begin. And so, as always, everybody, you already know what I do when I have tomatoes. You already know what I do when I have to make some sort of a tomato sauce. I always go out of my way to char the tomatoes. Again, not super traditional to do this in particularly, let's say, like a Turkish tomato sauce, right? Even though a lot of Turkish restaurants, they would like char whole peppers, they would char like whole tomatoes and such. But in my case, guys, I'm going to be blackening the outside of my tomatoes so that they get nice and smoky, because it's just going to add another layer of complexity. It's going to add another layer of depth into the final tomato sauce itself. Okay, so this is something I've taken from Mexican cooking, where you would char the tomatoes for something like a salsa, right? You would char your tomatoes, you would char your chilies. I think it's a very nice touch that you can do, my friends. And so that is exactly what you and I will be doing. We'll be charring these tomatoes, we'll be blackening them, and then I also have this one jalapeno. Guys, I just have the chili. I may as well just use it for today. We're also going to char it. We're going to blend it down into the sauce for today, and it's going to be lovely. Also, thank you, SVT, for stopping by nonetheless. Yeah, it's lovely to have you. Okay, so really quickly, we're going to need to get a sheet tray prepped and ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and line that bad boy with some aluminum foil. And so we're just going to slice these in half. We're going to take the corners out, and then we're going to go ahead and char it all down. Also, Scrublo, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Okay, so off camera, let me just go ahead and show you this on camera really quickly. I'm just setting down some aluminum foil on a sheet tray. Guys, I want to get you all more comfortable using the broiler in your kitchen. A kitchen broiler, guys, inside of your oven, it has so many really cool uses. But my favorite, over and over again, is to use it for charring and blackening my vegetables. So I'm going to go ahead and put on some gloves really quickly, because it's going to get a little bit acidic in here. And so I don't want any of that acidic to get all over my poor dainty eczema-ridden hands. That's why I'm putting on gloves for this. You don't really need to use gloves unless you really want to. Okay, and I'm using them again just to protect my hands from the acidity of the tomatoes. So, everybody, we need to go ahead and we need to take the core out of these tomatoes out. My least favorite thing is digging in there with a paring knife and trying to dig it out that way. You destroy the flesh, it's leaking a bunch of water. My favorite method, everybody, over and over again, we're just going to gently slice the tomato in half, expose the core, and then once we've actually exposed the core, we can just go ahead and pop it out like so. It's just that easy. We take it, we expose the core, and we slice it out with a nice sharp knife. That is so much easier, right? How many times have you seen people suggest take a paring knife to it and then dig in there, dig in there, dig in there? You know, it's just a complete waste of time for me. So we still need to get rid of the core, because if we do blend it in there, it could just be like a very unpleasant fibrous texture, okay? Doesn't have much to contribute in terms of flavor. It is just an unpleasant texture, my friends. But yeah, so guys, ultimately, I am just trying to diversify the way that I kind of get protein into myself, into my diet, right? You know, lentils are a really, really nice way to get some in, especially the combination of lentils and rice. They have a lot of, you know, there's a lot of pseudoscience, nutritional pseudoscience when it comes to complementary amino acids. But the reality is you do get a very nice variety of amino acids through consuming just rice and lentils. But I would really like to not just have my protein sources just be meat-based. So everybody, each of my plum tomatoes, and again, why am I using plum tomatoes? Plum tomatoes are such a nice variety for sauce because it's really, really fleshy. Everybody, compare it to a beefsteak tomato. Here's a general rule of thumb. The bigger the tomato, the more water it tends to have relative to the amount of flesh it has. Plum tomatoes are nice and medium-sized, and longer tomatoes typically are also a lot fleshier. So they're also the cheapest tomato that you can typically get at a supermarket, okay? So that is why I am using them for something like a sauce, something like a beefsteak tomato, something like a vine tomato. I mean, you could use, it's just a little bit more expensive and it's a little bit more watery. Also, Count J-Bach, welcome on in. It is lovely to see you. So everybody, jalapeno, we're just going to do a similar thing. We're just going to slice the head off. And again, not traditional to use a jalapeno for this at all. The reason why I'm doing it, once again, is just because I have it in my fridge and I wanted to get rid of it, okay? So jalapeno, we're just going to go ahead and slice him in half lengthwise, just so that he can sit in the sheet tray. And I'm actually going to keep all of the seeds in for today, everybody. I want that heat. I want that spice today. So I'm going to keep all of the seeds, all of the white part of the jalapeno inside. Lovely. And now all that we really need to do is just go ahead and get that bad boy under the broiler. So again, the broiler, everybody, here's what you need to understand about how it works. It is a super, super hot heating element on top of your oven. So it doesn't really heat the rest of the oven. You don't really care about the whole oven temperature. All we're really looking to do is just to blacken and char the outside of the tomato. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching? Please and thank you. So my jalapenos, my tomatoes, everything is now just going to get properly popped under my broiler. Just get it in there, get it inside. And so we have to babysit this, everybody. We don't want to leave it too much by itself because otherwise we can risk it burning too much, we can risk it charring too much, okay? We just want to get it nice and smoky and basically just a little bit roasted. So what else do we actually need to do today? Well, we need to blend down the tomato sauce. We have to actually make the meatball mixture itself, which I'm always really, really excited about. Have I also tried soft cheese as well as the protein like grease feta or serene? I mean, Jack, I'm pretty sure I have, just those names don't really pop to mind immediately. Okay. So guys, we need to start soaking our bread for today. And this is a really, really important step that I talk about all the time when it comes to making proper meatballs. I have here a nice stale piece of bread. We're only gonna need one slice of bread for today, everybody, because we're only doing like less than a pound of, actual beef in total here. But I cannot emphasize to you enough, everybody, the bread component, I'm going to say this again and again and again. I need everybody to listen to this. The bread component is essential in meatballs. I need to hear a yes, chef, right now, please and thank you. Because let me talk about this. Let me say something right now. For whatever reason, there is a sort of idea amongst a lot of home cooks. Maybe this is a bit more of a recent thing, where they think that anything besides beef in a meatball is filler. And that is just not true. The meatball is not the same as a burger. You need a meatball to be soft and squishy and tender. You do not want a rubber hockey puck, my friends. In order to obtain a soft, delicious, moist, smooth meatball, you need a slice of bread. The bread itself, it can be breadcrumbs, it can be any starchy component that you would like. But the slice of bread, first of all, it's a nice way to use up some stale bread. This is what actually gives a meatball that super, super, super soft texture, my friends. Okay, so that it doesn't feel like a burger, so it doesn't just feel like a hunk of steak, okay? And so all that we are going to do together is I'm going to separate the crust from the white part, because the crust needs to be ground up a little bit more than the white part since it's drier. What if I played meatball hockey? Well, in that case, then you would like a nice rubbery meatball. But everybody, we need something starchy in there. Random question, but what if we went in with a roux instead of bread? That's a really good question, Serena. I feel like in order to do that, you would just need a little bit more roux than you would think. But yeah, that would generally work, again, because it's like starchy, right? You just need a good amount of starch. So guys, all that we're going to do, we're going to take all of this bread and we're just going to crumble it up in our hands. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Also, Slay, you asked me, what is the best kind of frying pan to get? Well, I wouldn't be able to tell you that because it depends on what you actually need it for. There is no one universal frying pan material. If you're asking about like, oh, there's times you need stainless steel, there's times cast iron is nice, there's times carbon steel is nice, there's times that non-stick is nice, and then it's also really dependent on your budget, Slay. So are you asking me for like something for yourself, for your own equipment? Okay, but guys, in the meantime, all we're doing, we're just tearing up this bread into really, really small pieces, okay? Just keep plucking, keep plucking. Also, is it Labor Day today? I don't really know what Labor Day entirely is. I can't lie. Like, I don't know what one does on Labor Day. Okay? So, all we're doing, my friends, we're just chopping, we're just grinding up all of my little squishy white bread here. And again, you can use any kind of bread. You can use black bread, you can use brown bread, you can use rye bread. Use whatever you have. I do not want you going out of your way to buy bread for this. Okay, use breadcrumbs if you just have them. And then we're just going to be soaking it in some milk to make sure that it evenly distributes throughout. Okay, So yeah, I thought about getting a good nonstick pan, but there's loads of people that saying that because they are toxic, that you can use a stainless steel pan. So Slay, this is a widely debated topic in food in regards to PFAs and plastics. There's several different types of nonstick coatings. At the end of the day, nobody really needs a nonstick pan, I think. I think nonstick pans are only quite useful for making eggs. That is like the only time that I'm ever like, okay, I need a nonstick pan. I just think they can be a little bit niche. And so, yeah, you can get a stainless steel pan, but I would recommend investing in a clad stainless steel pan. A stainless steel pan with like an aluminum or ideally a copper core, because they have much better heat conductivity. Plain stainless steel pans have really crappy heat conductivity, okay? So, everybody, take a look. We have now officially ripped up all of our bread. And remember when I said that we need to be actively babysitting our tomatoes, we actively need to be babysitting our jalapenos. Okay, let's go ahead and just take a little peek at them. We want to get them nice and charred and properly smoky, my friends. And then we'll be blending them down into a beautiful sauce for the meatballs today. And it's going to be lovely. So let's go ahead and take it out. But yeah, you don't want to like exceed the maximum temperature on a nonstick pan, right? Because that is truly how you get like some of the more harmful chemicals. And, okay guys, that is exactly what I'm looking for. So we have all of our tomatoes beautifully blackened. And you might be like, oh, Daramgar, it's all burnt. Yes, it is supposed to be burnt. It is supposed to be charred. It's supposed to be smoky. This is going to add a really delicious level of flavor and complexity into our final tomato sauce, guys. This is why grilling tastes so good. You can control the char. Too much char, burn it too much, especially something sugary, and then it becomes a little bit too bitter. In this case, though, we have these beautifully charred tomatoes, this beautifully charred jalapeno, and we're just going to be blending it down, guys, into a nice, gorgeous sauce. Do not be afraid to sometimes intentionally burn things in a kitchen when it is, something that is entirely within your field of control. Okay? So, everybody, my bread has now been officially all ripped up. Okay? And again, I'm just using one slice of bread here. One little small slice of bread. I'm not going to be too crazy about telling you what the ratio should exactly look like or anything. And so, everybody, the next thing that we're going to need some milk, my friends. Now, milk is just typically used in meatballs, although theoretically you could hydrate this with anything you want. Now, why are we hydrating this? If we're mixing this into the meatball itself, why are we actually going through the process of soaking it in milk? The reason why we soak it in milk is because we want to get a paste that evenly incorporates. Guys, take a look at these pieces of bread. Look at it. If we were to put this into the meatball as it is, we would just get clumps of beef and then clumps of bread. But we want this to be evenly distributed throughout. We want this to capture the moisture as the meatballs cook, and we want it to keep it nice and soft. In order to make sure that this is evenly distributed, we have to take it from just ripped up bread into a beautiful bread paste, my friends. And so for that, we're just going to need to go ahead and get in there with a nice, generous glug of milk. And then the bread is all going to soak it up. Once the bread soaks it up, we'll just be able to mash it all into a lovely paste. And then, because of the fact that we got out some milk, I can have a little bit of a sip. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? So again, this step for meatballs is essential. Essential. Everybody, does not matter what kind of meatball from which country you are making. Everybody needs to have some sort of a starch in the meatball. Now, there is one exception. And that's going to be the Vietnamese beef ball. But beef balls, I wouldn't consider them the same as meatballs. Beef balls are intentionally bouncy. What they do is they whip up the beef. They whip it up super aggressively, okay? And then you get something that almost has the texture of a sausage. But if you're making meatballs, if you're making meatloaf, everybody, I need to hear a yes, chef, from everybody, please and thank you. You need starch. And in my case, I just use one little slice of bread. You can use breadcrumbs, you can even use rice, you can use anything that you want, but you need the starch component. It is super essential. Okay, so all that I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to mix it up slightly with a wooden spoon. I'm going to make sure that the milk is all the way around each little thing of bread, and we're just going to go ahead and let it all soak up, my friends. We're going to soak it up and then mash it up into a lovely little paste. I know it doesn't look like much at the moment, but it will. It will in due time. Okay. Lovely. I'm going to go ahead and set that behind me. Everybody, let us talk about what else we need to do for my meatball filling today. Okay? We're going to need to actually toast up some spices. As you may know, I love working with whole spices. I never work with pre-ground spices, and so we try to do those as much as possible. Jack, what'd you say? You said, my grandma makes soft cheeses for fun. I wanted to ask what I can do with soft cheese because she gifted you 10 pounds of it. 10 pounds of soft cheese? I don't know how you're gonna eat that much in time. You can eat it with some bread. Honestly, baking it into a baked pasta, also really, really lovely as long as the temperature is not too hot. You can garnish eggs with it. I don't know how to use up 10 pounds of cheese, Jack. That sounds like a lot. Okay, so my cutting boards are all here. My cutting boards ready to go. Everybody, let us talk about the spices that I'm going to be using for the meatballs today. So for İzmir Köfte, the most essential spice is, of course, going to be my favorite spice, Mr. Cumin. I love cumin to death. Also, Scuba Monkey, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Guys, I love cumin to death. It is super, super delicious. It is super wonderful. It's nice and warm, and it's nice and earthy, and it just pairs with beef. It pairs with red meats so, so, so well. It is an incredible, incredible spice, and we're going to be grinding it up ourselves. Because, guys, as you may know, spices are very volatile. The more that you process them, as in if you grind them up into a powder, okay, they're both light reactive and they're both oxygen reactive. They will quite literally lose more flavor over time. By starting off, everybody, by starting off with the whole spices, we're able to toast them, grind them ourselves, and then we're able to really maximize the amount of flavor that we have. And so, I'm going to go ahead and get a cute little pan. We're going to start off by first toasting these spices, everybody. We're gonna toast them, and then we're going to go ahead and grind them up. Then we also have some red chili flake, like a Turkish red chili flake. We're not going to need to toast that at all. But in the meantime, I'm gonna do 2 big old teaspoons. Incoming big raid. Whoa, is it another Vosh raid? Welcome on in, everybody. Hello, hello. We're gonna be making some Turkish food today. Well, actually, I don't think the raid has happened quite yet. So maybe I was a little too soon on that. So I have some lovely cumin seeds out. And then I gotta grab some coriander seeds as well, which are in a cabinet above me, too difficult to reach. So I have to step on a step stool. Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So, are people here yet? Are people waiting on in? Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So what's happening here? What are we doing today? We're going to be doing some lovely Turkish food. We're going to be doing 2 dishes that I really, really love. One of them I grew up with. That is not a berserk shirt. This is a Gengar shirt. It's a holographic Gengar. So everybody, I need all of your attention. I need to hear a nice resounding yes, chef from everybody watching, please, and thank you. Also, thank you for the gifted sub. Guys, I want to diversify in my home setting the kinds of proteins that I am eating. I want to be eating more lentils. Okay, so I have here a lovely bag of some red lentils. We're going to be doing a Turkish red lentil soup. You can type in ! menu. I grew up in a Turkish neighborhood. This was a dish that I always had going out to restaurants. It's really delicious. It's really, really simple. And then alongside it, we're also going to be doing some baked meatballs. So, Rocket Man, lentils are a pulse. The legumes, right? Similar to beans, lentils are also pulses. They're really delicious, they're super cheap, and they're an excellent source of protein. I am tired of just having my protein sources always be meat all the time, okay? And so in addition to that, we're gonna be doing İzmir Köfte. İzmir Köfte is going to be a baked meatball in its tomato sauce with potatoes and red peppers. So it's gonna be really, really delicious. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move aside my charred tomatoes, everybody. So here's what we did so far. We charred up some of these lovely tomatoes because this is going to be the tomato sauce for the meatballs. And this is inspiration that I've taken from Mexican cooking, okay? Where I love to intentionally char them, get them nice and smoky and blackened. And that way it just adds in another dimension, another level of flavor. I love Turkish food, it is one of my favorites. So guys, I have here some cumin seeds. And then I also have some coriander seeds. And these are going to be the spices for the meatballs today. As you all may know, I almost exclusively work with whole spices, everybody. Why do we work with whole spices? In cooking, there is such a thing as destructive prep and non-destructive prep. What do I mean by this? Destructive prep is when you process something in a certain way that it tends to go bad a little bit faster. Pre-ground spices, everybody. I need you all to say, yes, chef. Pre-ground spices lose their flavor faster and have a much shorter shelf life than whole spices. So I have here whole cumin seeds, whole coriander seeds, and we're toasting them up. We're gonna get a little bit of extra flavor out of them, okay? And this is just going to have so much more flavor, everybody, than pre-ground cumin, than pre-ground coriander. And this is all going to go into today's lovely meatballs. So we're just mixing it. I'm just moving it around because, again, I don't want it to squelch on the bottom. Favorite Mediterranean food? Well, Count J-Bach, that is such a huge question that you've just asked me. Honestly, this lentil soup might just be one of my favorites. It's really simple. It has potatoes, it has carrots inside of it, has onions. And of course, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me. I am here to teach all of you how to cook. So, the great Nino, what's your tag? Nino Nano, what's your question? So guys, we're just tossing and we're looking for the slightest wisps of smoke. We keep it moving because I don't want my cumin, I don't want my coriander to burn on the bottom. So we just keep it moving. We keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. So why do I not crush and mix the spices? So good question. We're going to be, ooh, I just burnt myself on that boiling pot of water behind me. The reason why I don't crush it to begin with is because we toast it whole. We're going to be crushing it after it's been toasted, but if we crushed it first, if we made it into a cumin powder first, it would be really difficult to get an even toast on it. It would have too much surface area as an already ground spice. It has too much surface area, we would end up burning one side, and it's so much easier just to toast whole spices instead, okay? So again, we're just looking for slight wisps of smoke, everybody. Slight wisps of smoke, we just keep on moving, keep on moving. And that is going to be perfect, awesome. And now we're gonna be grinding it up. Now we're going to be actually obtaining our cumin and coriander powder. That's right. One of my biggest flexes is just how, I guess, heat resistant I am. So, I don't know, I feel like it just makes me a cooler chef overall. So everybody, we have one of my favorite little tools here. We have a lovely little mortar and pestle. And I'm just going to get my, look how cute this pan is. Isn't this the cutest little pan, guys? Okay, so we have this mortar and pestle. Why am I using a mortar and pestle here? Well, simply put, I don't have a dedicated spice grinder. There is truly no advantage to using a mortar and pestle for grinding spices as opposed to a spice grinder, except for when sometimes you just want to get like a squashed peppercorn. For example, for like an poivre, you would use like squashed peppercorns, or you want to do like a pepper crust, you would just want to squash it, you don't want to grind it into a powder. And that is when a mortar and pestle comes into handy. In my case, we're just going to be getting a nice little powder. So guys, we do not start by rotating, nor do we pound. Stone, mortar and pestles, I need to hear a nice yes, chef. There's food on my face? Oh my God, you're right. There was food on my face. Whoops. Nobody told me. Thank you, Taza. That's a good mod. So guys, we don't start rotating. If we start rotating, things are gonna fly out of the container. But also remember, mortar and pestles that are made out of stone are not meant for pounding. Wooden ones are for pounding, stone ones are for grinding. Okay? So, wooden ones also don't do a very good job with spices because they're a little bit too soft. Wooden ones are very nice for Thai cooking. They're very nice for, you know, a lot of like Central American, very like Latin American cooking. Right? But in my case, guys, all that we need to do, we just need to squash up each and every single one of them, and now we rotate it. And we rotate it and we obtain a really, really beautiful powder in no time. So keep it going, guys, keep it going, keep it rotating, keep it all rotating, keep it rotating, keep it rotating. Keep it all rotating, guys, until we get a lovely little powder. And this is nice and aromatic. And this is the beauty of using whole spices, guys. Pre-ground cumin, pre-ground coriander. It just kind of sucks. By grinding it yourself, you get so much more flavor and you get so much more aroma. And when you buy whole spices, you also have the privilege to toast them because you can't toast pre-ground spices, okay? You can't toast them in the same way. They don't have the husk protecting them. So guys, just keep it all grinding, keep it all happening. Break up all of the little fibers, every single last one of them. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And let's see what we are left with. This is just about done, my friends. We're almost done with all of the little fibers. I just want to get the last of them. And I want a nice, seasoned, spicy meatball today, my friends. It's going to have the coriander. It's going to have the cumin seeds in it. Okay? There you go. And I think that looks pretty good. Guys, take a look. That is my cumin, that is my coriander. And now we're going to be adding this, and I talked about this before. The most important component of any meatball, guys, is the bread component. Also, I love dal makhni blonde puffin. I posted the VOD on YouTube. It's amazing. So guys, the bread component, this is what makes a meatball soft. There is this bizarre like meat maxing mindset that people think about when it comes to meat. They think that anything inside of a meatball or a meatloaf that's not meat and seasoning is filler. You cannot have, and I will say it again and again, you cannot have a meatball without the bread, everybody. Okay? The bread component is what makes it nice and soft. It's what stops it from being rubbery. Okay? The goal is to not get a burger patty. Burgers, they don't need bread. They don't need the starch. You can use rice. You can use any kind of bread that you have. This is just bread with a little bit of milk. And so we're going to be seasoning this mixture. We're going to be building all of the different seasonings for the meatballs inside of this little container, guys, inside of this little bowl. So all of my cumin, all of my coriander goes inside. And then I'm also going to add in, for a little bit of extra flavor, I don't actually know, I will say, I don't actually know what kind of pepper this is. This I just got from my local Turkish supermarket. It was just described as a hot red pepper. And so let's just add it in. Let's just add in a nice generous spoonful, guys, because I'm looking for a beautifully seasoned meatball. Chat, do we want bland meatballs? Do we want bland meatballs here? I want to hear a nice no chef from everybody watching, please and thank you. Because I do not want my meatballs to be bland. Okay, so we add that in. Let's also do a bunch of kosher salt inside. We're going to be doing roughly for a pound of meat here, maybe a little bit less. So, bunch of salt. Is that spicy, chef? I'm pretty sure it's spicy. I didn't taste it. We're going to be going off vibes. And guys, we're just going to mix up this mixture again. And we're going to continue to let that bread soak. Why are we soaking the bread in the milk here? And I'm actually also going to crack in an egg. Why do we soak the bread? Well, if we don't soak the bread is just going to end up as a bunch of little chunks and clusters instead of basically building this mesh. We want the bread to essentially form a mesh. We want it to essentially, right, just be distributed evenly throughout each meatball. By turning it into a paste inside of the wet ingredients, okay, it's all going to just come together. And so I know it doesn't look appealing now. I know this just looks kind of ugly and kind of messy, but that's okay. So, let's just mix it all up. And guys, we just gotta let this bread continue to soak up all of that egg. We gotta let it continue to soak up all of that milk. And it's going to become this really delicious seasoning paste. I know it looks ugly right now. I know it does not look like what you want the final product to be. But everybody, patience is going to be your best friend with this. And so we are now going to be moving on to the next stage, which is we need to saute some onions for this. So everybody, really, really quickly, let's head to the stove, okay? So on my stove, I have here a lovely little stainless steel pan. And we're going to be doing a medium-low heat on this. So let's talk about this. Okay? Let's talk about this really quickly. Guys, nobody, well, not nobody, a lot of people mess up heating up stainless steel. So let me be honest with you. Stainless steel as a material in terms of its heat conductivity is a little notoriously uneven. It's a little notoriously inconsistent. This is just plain old stainless steel, and I'm adding in a generous amount of olive oil inside of it. So let's talk about this, everybody. What do we do to ensure that we do not develop hot spots and cool spots? We always heat it up slowly on a medium-low heat. Everybody, I'm going to say it again, medium-low heat. A lot of people, they take the heat, they blast it onto high, okay, they blast it on high, they put a stainless steel pan down, they heat it up for a minute, they splash water inside, they see how it sizzles, and they think it's hot enough. Everybody, if you blast it on high heat, you will get hot spots and you will get cool spots. The best way to get an evenly heated pan, heat it up low and slow. That is the only way to do it, my friends. Unless it has an aluminum core, unless it has a copper core, in which case the heat conductivity really helps out there. For most metals, for cast iron, for carbon steel, you have to heat it up medium and slow, okay? So, we're heating it up. We're just heating up all of this oil. And now, guys, we have to go ahead and get some onions prepped and ready to go for the meatballs. And so why are we chopping up onions? Why am I going to be frying onions for the meatballs to begin with? Well, it just adds a really delicious sweetness into the whole thing. I had this leftover red onion just sitting in my fridge, just chilling and hanging out. Let's throw them into the, let's throw them into the meatball. And I see a lot of people, they add of raw onions inside of a meatball. And I actually don't really like doing that. It adds in a lot of unnecessary, a lot of unwanted moisture. But oh my God. What is going on with this onion today? Terrible. So a lot of people, they add in onions that are uncooked inside of a meatball. And I find that you tend to lose out on a lot of flavor that way. You lose out on a lot of potential sweetness. Everybody, we are going to be properly, beautifully cooking this onion half down. We want to cook it down nice and sweet. Look at this onion today. She is, yeah, everywhere. Okay, and so we want to go ahead and get a nice small dice. So why not caramelize the onion before using it in a meatball? Well, precisely the great Nino Nano. That's what we're doing today. We're going to properly, truly break it down. We're going to properly, truly cook it through. So we want to get a nice small dice. Why do we want a small dice? The goal isn't to bite into any onion. The goal is for the onion to melt inside, my friends. And so we're going to accomplish exactly that. We're going to take this and we're going to do the onion fan method. We're taking this and we're making a bunch of thin incisions all the way down the length of the onion. Thin incisions, everybody. Thin, all the way through. Okay? We fanned out the onion. And now, super thin. I want to get a nice small dice, everybody. Okay? And it's all going to cook down. It's all going to cook down. It's all going to get nice and soft. But the goal, I want this to basically melt into the meatball. I don't want to bite into a chunk of onion. Chef, what is the worst Pokemon? Woobat. I hate Woobat. I cannot stand Woobat for the life of me. That thing is so ugly. Why does it look like that? Why is its nose shaped like that? I do not like Woobat. Okay? So, again, nice small dice, everybody. Small, all the way through. Woobat is so ugly. Woobat is so stupid. He's not just a little guy, okay? Every time I would see him when I was playing Pokemon Black and White, I would just be angry. I was like, why am I experiencing this right now? Why am I being subjected to this? Okay. Chef, would I launch a line of cool black t-shirts? No, Sunny Peach Crush, because I never want to sell people a product that's only kind of fine. At the end of the day, I'm going to be honest, I don't love influencer merchandise. You know, the influencer themselves, they don't tend to make a lot of money from it, and it's just kind of a whatever t-shirt from a whatever company with a fine design. Right? So I don't think I'll ever be selling any sort of t-shirts or any kind of merchandise that I did not have 100% control in the materials of its creation. So my answer is probably not in the next 5 years or so. It's a good knife? It absolutely is. This is my Coiled Damascus Petty. So guys, all of my red onion has been lovely and beautifully chopped up. Okay? And so we are slowly but surely heating up some olive oil in here. Again, everybody, the goal is low, medium heat, and the pan is going to be heated up evenly. If you have hot spots, if you have cool spots, do you know what's going to happen to you? They're going to kill you. No, that's not going to happen to you. If you have hot spots and you have cool spots, you will have parts of the onion that end up burning, and you will have parts of the onion that end up sticking to the pan and then also subsequently burning as well. Nice, evenly, slowly heated pan, my friends. Okay? I was just thinking of like it was like the Twitter post that's like, your swag is too tough, they're going to kill you. Well, that's what they're gonna do that to you, buddy. So nice, generous amount of olive oil, guys, because again, goal, I wanna get these onions nice and soft. So, everybody, we need to talk about this really quickly once again. I am looking for a golden brown, beautiful onion. These are red onions. Red onions aren't necessarily the best for sauteing because they tend to burn a little bit easier than other forms of onions. The key to this is going to be medium-low heat. Because everybody, to get color on vegetables, it is a 3-stage cooking process. The first stage is to collapse the vegetables. We're looking to cook them so much that they release their water. The second stage is the evaporation stage. We evaporate the water, and then only when the water is evaporated will we then be able to get into stage number 3, which is browning the onions. If you rush this, if you try to slam it with heat in the beginning, you're going to burn the outside of the onions. Okay? You cannot get this process of a beautiful golden brown onion in a matter of 2 minutes. This will be 5 to 10 minutes at a bare minimum. Okay? You cannot rush this process. So, my pan has been heating up nice and slowly, and we have a generous amount of olive oil. Why do we have a bunch of oil inside of this pan for a seemingly low amount of onions? I need you to consider the structure of a chopped up vegetable, guys. When you have a chopped up vegetable, it has a bunch of irregular sides. Do you ever see when they take a non-stick pan and they think, oil is bad, fat is bad, I'm just going to saute on a dry pan. And they put onions down, they put things down, and they saute on a dry non-stick pan. And you know what they get? They don't get the golden brown vegetables. You know what they get? They get black burnt edges, and then the vegetable sort of curls up. Have you guys seen that? Like the center of the vegetable, even on small dices, the edges of it are burnt, the center of it is completely blank. Because you need the oil to properly coat the vegetables, to get into the crevices, to get into all of the different irregular sides. The oil is not just a lubricant. It is not just something to make a pan less sticky. Okay? It is something to properly, evenly distribute the heat of something. So, we have all of my red onions. We're going to go onto the stove now. My pan has now been properly heating up. I don't need this to be smoking hot or anything. All that we're going to do, everybody, we're going to just distribute that oil quickly. Again, low, medium heat, and in all of my lovely onions go. In they go. Look at it, shimmering, cooking up in that oil. Low, medium heat is the key to this. The goal is to not develop any sort of caramelization. The goal is not to develop any browning in the first step. We first need to collapse it, evaporate the liquid, and then it will brown. So yes, not toast, collapse. Collapse, evaporate, and then brown. Those are the 3 stages of cooking. So we're going to add in a little bit of salt to help evenly season the onions, and then to also help facilitate the extraction of the moisture from the stewed onion. Nice big generous pinches of kosher salt going inside. Okay? And then we just move it around. And guys, you can see the pan immediately change. Remember in the beginning, there was a sizzle. Okay, the sound has changed. The sound went from a high-end pss to a lower-end psh. The music of cooking, the sound of cooking is super important to take note of. When it does a psh sound, that is an indication that it is cooking in liquid. Okay? If you hear a high-end sizzle, like a pss, that is how you know it's cooking in oil. Because of the fact that it's a low-end psh, because of the fact that the liquid on the bottom looks cloudy, that is the water suspended in the oil. Everybody, we've officially hit the collapsation stage. And then we will know when we're leaving that stage, when it no longer starts giving us a psh sound, it starts becoming more and more closer to a sizzle. But now guys, it is essentially boiling in its own juices. The most important thing you have to do is just stir it up, flip it around a little bit to make sure it's evenly cooking. We can even toss it up a little bit, right? We have a nice pan and it's not overfilled, so we give it a little toss, a little push and a pull. And guys, medium, low heat, keep the onion away from the edges of the pan. Because on the edges, the onion, not surrounded in the oil, has the largest tendency to burn. We have to babysit red onions, my friends. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching? Red onions need to be babysat more than other forms of onion because for whatever reason, their juices, they tend to burn a little bit easier. And I do mean a yes, chef, from everybody. So everybody, by the way, if you'd like to support the cooking stream, if you'd like to support what we do here, you could type in exclamation mark Patreon. My goal, again, is to be able to keep all this information free for everybody to watch, for everybody to consume. The Patreon doesn't give you any sub-benefits minus a sub-exclusive Discord because I don't want to paywall any information. My goal, I want to teach people how to cook at home. I want to keep the show free. I keep this stream advertisement free, right? I keep it, free of everything. And so, any and all supporting the Patreon would go a really long way. So guys, that's enough shilling. That's enough of that for now, okay? Now the onions, the pan got really, really quiet, didn't it? It's not sizzling, my friends. It is still continuing to collapse. And we're just going to stir it up a little bit, again, just to make sure that we have no onions on the edges of the pan. And guys, take a look. None of those onions, despite the fact that we're on stainless steel, none of it is sticking. Why? Well, first of all, we have enough oil, but specifically, we slowly heated up the pan. So why do onions smell good when cooking? That's not a question for me. I don't really have, I don't really have an answer for that question, I'm afraid. Why do they smell bad when you do cut into them, though? That is actually a self-defense mechanism, Count J. Buck. For a lot of different plants, specifically, think of capsaicin. Think of why, like an ecosystem function, capsaicin exists. Why do spicy chilies exist? Well, an animal bites into them, okay? And then they're like, oh, wait a second, this is spicy, this feels bad, this hurts my mouth. Similarly, an onion, a garlic clove, they have that pungency as a self-defense mechanism. Yeah, that's why. So that is why I can tell you why it has that pungency and that, smell raw, but I wouldn't be able to tell you why it smells pleasant when it's cooked. I'm sure there's a very nice reason for that. Okay, So everybody, that is going, that's currently doing its thing. Okay, let's head back to the bread mixture that we have really quickly. This is just my bread and the egg and then all of the spices, and it's all sitting here and soaking inside of the milk, guys. And so we're going to need a few more things inside of this bad boy. Okay, so all that I'm doing is I'm just continuing to chop everything up. We're chopping up all of the little tiny bits of the bread because, again, the goal is for this bread to evenly distribute throughout the meatballs. I want to essentially just turn this into a little paste, okay? Chef, is there a difference between using whole eggs versus yolks in a meatball mix? I don't think it'll be significant. Typically, you add yolks in for the richness, for the emulsifying properties, egg whites for like their ability to hold on to air, but honestly, I don't think in a meatball it makes that much of a difference. So I think that might be a little bit too micro to have any sort of relevance in this. Okay, guys, we are going to now need plenty of garlic. So let's go ahead and get some of that inside of the meatball mixture. Are there any gluten-free alternatives? Absolutely, Fire Black Ink. A very traditional thing is people make meatballs out of rice. So you can absolutely just do a few tablespoons of a long grain rice and have it also soak in the milk, almost chop it up a little bit and mix it out throughout the meatballs. So really good question. You can just use any kind of starch. It doesn't just have to be bread. It doesn't just have to be white bread. You can use black bread. You can use cooked rice. You can use raw rice. Okay? So everybody, garlic. As you may know, above all else, I cannot stand chopping garlic. Chopping garlic, I consider it to be a massive waste of time because it's sticky, it sticks to your cutting board, it sticks to your knives, and it just is incredibly inefficient. So what do we use instead? We use my favorite kitchen tool. We use the garlic press, everybody. We're going to peel the garlic, we're going to put it through the garlic press, and we're going to get beautifully crushed up garlic without any effort whatsoever. Okay? So, I have some garlic cloves right here, everybody. So the first step, I use my bench scraper. We flatten it. The skin is hard, the flesh is soft. All that we really need to do is just press it down, and this separates, okay? This separates the skin from the clove of the garlic. Even though we're gonna be going through the garlic press, we just still do this process to get the skin off. Okay, so come take a look. We have all of this, and now, the fact that we smashed it down, guys, take a look, take a look. The skin just easily pops off. That is why we go through the trouble of doing the step. And then I don't think I squashed this one enough to get that effect I was looking for. This is a big garlic clove, and I'm not that strong with my upper arm muscles, as strong as my forearms are because I've started carrying a briefcase. Okay, and using my molcajete in the kitchen, guys. My upper arm muscles, not up to speed. Okay, and the only thing that we're gonna need to do here, we have a slightly rotten bit on the garlic clove itself that we're just going to clean up slightly. And then we're also going to get rid of the dried off bottoms of each of my garlic cloves. Guys, look at these things. They are massive. I don't even think this is going to fit into my garlic press. So I think I'm going to just need to cut that up into slightly smaller pieces like this, just so that it fits inside. And now guys, take a look, okay? Also, Jack, I don't believe I've ever checked it out yet. I'm sorry. I don't think I got a second. So, everybody, garlic press, put it inside, and what do? We push out all of our garlic right into the rest of the meatball mixture. So guys, again, I want to get you all using a garlic press. It is lovely. It is so simple to use. Okay. Also, Serena, I haven't approved Jack to post in Discord yet, so I still got to take a look at it. I just happened to forget. So we'll get there. So you can't have too much garlic, can you? We're going in with all of these massive cloves of garlic because I want a flavorful meatball, my friends. I want it flavorful, I want it delicious, and also really quickly, I'm going to go back and stir my onions and ensure that they are not scorching on the bottom. This is why we do a nice medium heat, my friends. High heat, and you are going to end up burning the onions before they get beautifully caramelized. It's all cooking down now, it's all happening, it's all getting nice and beautifully golden. Okay? So let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. All of my garlic cloves inside, everybody. This is a lot of garlic, but again, you can't have too much garlic in life, especially in something like a meatball. Actually, I'm kind of looking at this quantity of garlic now. Maybe? No, we're going to go all the way with it. If we have too much garlic, then we have too much garlic, damn it. There's no such thing. I said there's no such thing, so I'm not backing down now. That was an egregious amount of garlic. Those cloves were massive. Okay, there you go. Awesome. All of that is inside. I'm going to set the garlic press behind me. We're going to need a little bit later still. I'm just stirring up my onions. Everybody, we have officially hit the sizzling stage. It is now browning. Remember how I talked to you? Remember when I said, first we're going to release the water. We first want to release the water. Okay? We're going to release the water, we're going to evaporate the water, and then once the water is evaporated, then the onions will get nice and golden brown. But yes, everybody, I think you should absolutely invest in a garlic press. They barely take up any space. They're one of my favorite kitchen tools. Okay? So, now that we have the garlic inside, and yeah, I absolutely want so much flavor. That is the goal. I want nice, delicious, flavorful food, my friends. Turkish food isn't bland. My food isn't bland. Okay? We want nice seasoned meatballs. Chat, do we want nice seasoned meatballs? Do we want bland meatballs? Okay, I want to hear a nice yes, chef, to the seasoned meatballs, please and thank you from everybody watching. Can we use garlic presses for ginger? You cannot. I've tried doing it. Ginger seems to be too fibrous to pass through. Okay, guys, again, we're in the sizzling stage. This is where food can easily burn. We take it and we toss it and toss it and toss it. It's a little sticky, it's a little bit soft, so we just got to make sure that, again, none of the onions are stuck to the edges, and we're just slowly cooking all of them down, and they're getting nice and golden. They've reduced in their volume because we evaporated their liquid, and we collapsed their texture. And now, guys, this is where we get beautiful golden fried onions, my friends. Look at that. So that's only going to need a little bit more cook time, not too much more. And then there's one last step of prep for the meatballs themselves, which is going to be to do the parsley. And I'll show you what we're doing for the parsley in a little bit. And I'm just continuing to just break that up. Awesome. Okay, and guys, in just about a second, I think that this is just about ready to go. This should be just about ready to go. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's perfect, guys. Nice and golden brown. Again, we're not approaching a like super full, like fully caramelized onion or anything. Right? We're not looking for something like you would use for a French onion or soup or something. We just want to get it nice and golden brown, nice and flavorful. And now we just killed the heat, guys. I'm going to just transfer this over. Okay? And then we need to set this pot of water on to boil. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the parsley in just a second. So I'm just mixing around my onions, making sure they're not scorching or anything, because the pan still has a little bit of residual heat on them. Let's get that up to a nice big boil. And so everybody, we're going to be doing a little something. We're going to be blanching the parsley. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about why we're doing this. Okay, I want to get some parsley inside of these meatballs. You see this all the time in, different Middle Eastern and different Mediterranean cooking. You see a lot of herbs be used inside. Now, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. If we were to just chop this up, if we were to just grind this up in a food processor as it is, we're inside of a blender, what's going to happen is all of this parsley is just going to immediately turn brown instead of nice and vibrant green. By quickly plunging it into boiling water and then shocking it into ice cold water, and I mean boiling it for like only 10 seconds, everybody. From boiling water to ice cold water and then back on out, we'll be able to get this really beautiful parsley paste that stays nice and vibrant and green. We don't want to overcook it inside of the boiling water, because if we overcook it, what ends up happening instead is we just get a bunch of flavorless leaves. So we take it, we put it inside of boiling water ever so slightly, and then we have to prepare a little ice bath for it. I love doing this with fresh herbs. It just takes a second, everybody. It's this little step that really does preserve the flavor of the herbs. We blanch it, we reduce the volume, and then we blend it down with a little splash of milk. And then that will just go directly into the meatball. And so I'm going to simultaneously prepare my ice bath for this bad boy. Yeah, you will essentially make a parsley tea is what will happen. Absolutely. You will lose all of the parsley flavor inside of the water. The goal is just, again, I believe it has something to do with deactivating an enzyme that causes it to turn brown when it's been crushed or processed too much, okay? So I have these big ass ice blocks that I can put inside, okay? And the reason why I like these ice blocks, not only because they look cool, but it's because it's really easy to pick out the parsley from them, okay? So let's just go ahead and get that inside, these nice big blocks of ice. And so all that we're going to need, everybody, is just to fill this up with some nice cold water. Fill it up with some cold water. And that is going to be our ice bath for Mr. Parsley. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? Any cooking questions whatsoever? Remember, I am here to help you out. I'm here to help you cook at home, everybody. So my water is now officially boiling. And now that my water is boiling, all that we're going to do, plunge it for 10 seconds. We're going to count together, everybody. We plunge it for 10 seconds and immediately take it out. Here is a tool of choice that I'll be using to take it out. This is called a spider, everybody. The reason why I love this tool is it gets everything out in one fell swoop. Tongs, they don't do a good job of getting everything out at once. So come take a look. All of my parsley in my hand, okay? And then we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and agitate it, 10, 11, and do 12 total. Take it out, quick, into the water. Take it out, quick, and into the water, my friends. And quickly agitate it, break it up, because it's almost like a brush. It holds onto the boiling water, and so you have to quickly break it up and stir it around in the ice bath to replace it with all of that cool water. And that is all that we needed to do for the parsley, my friends. Nice and easy. Just like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. I'm just going to have that sit there by itself. That is all that we really needed to do to be able to successfully blanch the parsley. Nice and easy, guys. Okay, I am going to get rid of this pot of boiling water. Just throw that down the drain really quickly. Nice and easy. That's all that it takes. And then we'll be blending it up, my friends. Do you understand the reason why it's 12 seconds? 12 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. That is just like the measure of time before it really starts leaching out all of its flavor. So that's why that is the amount of time that we're using. It is between the range of 10 to 15 seconds. Okay, and I do 12 seconds just so that when I pull it out, everything is pulled out by the 15 mark. Does this work with other herbs? Absolutely. I do this with cilantro, I do this with parsley, I do this with mint, I do this with basil. Okay, so all of those would be really good candidates for this. So let's go back really quickly to my little slurry that we're building here. Again, this is just the bread that has been soaking it up. How was it meeting Fantano? It was chill. Yeah, that was a while ago. Wow. Okay, and now all that we're going to do, guys, in here we're going to add all of my beautiful, delicious fried onions. All of it inside with all of that fat. And so, here's what we do, guys. We make all of the seasonings, everything that's supposed to flavor the meatball, everything for the meatball, everything for the sake of the meatball gets mixed up together first. And we only add the meat later. Why do we do that? Well, imagine, think about the texture of ground beef, guys. Think about the texture of ground meat. It's really, really thick. Imagine trying to get salt evenly distributed throughout this. It's so much easier, guys, to get all of your seasonings, to get all of your stuff that you intend for the meatball, first evenly distributed inside of the seasoning paste for it. So much easier. So much more efficient, okay? So we're just mixing it up, okay? There you go, nice and easy. Also, does this hair tie just suck? Do I have another hair tie here somewhere that I could use instead? This hair tie is just not doing me any favors. It keeps coming undone. Some comments are a little bit random. You're absolutely right. So guys, again, this in here, this has the bread, this has the onions, this has the garlic. The only thing that it is currently missing is going to be my lovely parsley. So let's just go ahead and get that into the food processor, or rather my little blender cup here. Okay, and so here's my parsley. Guys, remember that big batch of parsley that we started with? We're using stems and all for this because it has a lot of flavor. All of it has essentially cooked down into this little teeny tiny little ball of herbs. They're still nice and bright, guys. They're still nice and vibrant and green, and that is exactly what we're looking for. I'm going to set that behind me, and then, because I don't want to get any additional liquid, I don't want to dilute my meatball even further, I'm just going to try using my existing moisture that I have in here. Okay, maybe get like some of the bread in there as well. I don't think I'll be able to do that good of a job of it. I think I may need to end up using like a little splash of milk just to make sure that it ends up blending evenly. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see what we end up having to do in just a little bit. I am running out of space slightly on my stove already, which isn't so good. So let me just make a little bit of space. Awesome. Okay. Guys, it is time for us to go ahead and blend down the parsley, add it into the meatball mixture, and then we'll just add in the beef, and it'll be lovely. Okay. Sure, Jack, go ahead. Yeah, you can do whatever you want in that case. Does anybody have any questions about this process? So, parsley's in here. I'm gonna tell you right now, that needs additional moisture. It's just going to get stuck inside of the blender. So I'm just going to do one little splash of milk, just right inside. That's it, just to give it a little bit of a jump start. And then we're going to blend it into a lovely little paste to add into the meatball mixture, okay? So let's take it and let's cover it up. And let's go ahead and get my blender station ready to go. Does anybody have any questions for me? Again, it can be about this dish, it can be about anything else. My goal, as always, I wanna teach you all how to cook, my friends. Okay, I wanna teach you all how to cook. I wanna teach you all how to cook at home. My blender is all ready to go. My parsley, and blend it up. Blend it, blend it, blend it. Okay. And so guys, again, the beauty of us first blanching this, also I'll get a little drink in a second. The beauty of first blanching it is the fact that we get to keep it nice and green. If we were to just put raw parsley inside of the blender as it is, what we would end up with, okay everybody, we're going to end up with instead just a bunch of brown parsley that loses all of its flavor over time. By first blanching it is then able to take the crushing, it is able to take the processing. Okay? And I think I'm going to say that that is done, everybody. So let me show you. It's not going to look that amazing at the moment. When is it 3 a.m. and you can't use your blender? I would just use a knife. I would just use a knife and go at it a bunch of times. That's really the only solution in this case. Okay? So guys, take a look. We have it all blended up, nice and smooth. And now we're going to add this in. We're going to add this in to my meatball mixture. Again, this is all of the oil from, cooking the onions. This doesn't look that appealing yet because we haven't added the beef, my friends. So be patient for this process. Just stick with me. You have to stick with it. I know this doesn't look like anything other than slop at the moment, but this has so many spices. This has the red pepper. This has the flavor. This has the cooked down onions. It doesn't look that appealing because, again, we have still yet to add in the meat. Okay, and we're almost done. Let's just get all of this dumped out. Okay, I'm still gonna need the blender cup for the sauce a little later on. I'm going to just put this one to hydrate in the sink so that it doesn't dry on out. Okay, and now let's go ahead and mix it through. So guys, it's just green. It's just slop at the moment. And again, all I'm doing is I'm just processing, I'm breaking it down, I'm breaking it down. Okay, so by the way, another really helpful piece of advice that I can give to all of you, please use a bowl that looks like it is slightly too big. Because if you have a bowl that isn't big enough for the meat that you're adding into it, you're gonna put your hand inside when you're mixing it up, okay? And you're just going to end up with everything spilling out all over the place. The beauty, well, I say the beauty of it a lot, but the function of us doing this in a bowl that looks like it's slightly too big is it will then be able to accommodate all of the beef that we'll be adding to it, okay? So that has gone inside. I think we're gonna do one more little pinch of salt, my friends. One more little tiny pinch of salt. And again, we season the paste so that this is then able to evenly integrate into the beef. If we did not season the paste, we would just get seasoned pockets and bland pockets. So guys, let's go in now with all of my lovely beef. I'm gonna get rid of the spoon, for now at least. Okay, and I'm going to go in with this big old lump of fresh ground beef, my friends. Also, if you have access to ground lamb, that would also be incredible with this. If you cannot handle the texture of putting your hand inside of this ground beef and mixing it up with all of this paste, you could just use a wooden spoon. You could even use like a stand mixer paddle, right? That's what we do for some of my students. So I am also a cooking teacher for a nonprofit for teens and adults with special needs. A lot of them, they have like a lot of problems with like texture, especially feeling something. And so oftentimes we just use a mixer paddle. But the reason why I like to use my hands, and I think a hand is ideal in this case, is because we're just able to really get in there. And so this mixture for me, guys, admittedly, it's a little too wet. This is a little bit too wet. This meatball may end up falling apart a little bit. But again, all that we have to do, we just have to smush all of it out. We have to smush it all out. We have to make sure that it's all fully incorporated. If you think you mixed it enough, you did not. I need to hear you, chef. You need to mix this and blend it all inside. Because I promise you, you still have unmixed things of, you still have parts of it that have not been fully integrated throughout, even if it looks good. Okay, so press it, squash it, have fun with it, do what you gotta do, but we gotta fully and totally mix it up. And it's also going to dry up the more we mix it. But yeah, cornstarch I don't think would save us in this case, Jack. Really the only solution would be having more beef. Right? I just had a little bit too much milk relative to the amount of beef that I had, but it's still going to be delicious at the end of the day. How do you make sure that you don't overwork the meat? So fine blanching, I'm going to tell you something right now. For meatballs, for meatloaf, I don't think you have to worry about that. You have to really worry about overworking the meat if you're doing something, let's say, like a, patty, right? If you're doing something like a burger, right? Because if you're doing something like a burger and then you overmix it, it'll end up being tough. In this case, I don't genuinely think that you can actually overmix it because of the fact that we have the bread inside, and so I don't really think that the toughness is really that much of a concern. Even for something like Swedish meatballs, what they do is they basically blend the beef and the meat together, okay? And so guys, as you see, the more that we do mix it, it's actually getting a little bit thicker in texture almost, which is what I am looking for. I am not looking for this to be a completely soupy mess, so we're blending it all together. But yeah, it will just make your meatball a little bit bouncier. The more that you mix it, the finer that you grind it, the more that you incorporate it. And the reason I'm mixing it again so aggressively is just to make sure that it has that texture that I'm looking for, right? It is going to cause it to firm up slightly instead of just falling apart. You see how it's holding on to itself now? That is why you need to mix. You can absolutely undermix this, my friends. How many meatballs am I looking to make? However many this yields. So I don't have a direct answer for you. I'm sorry, the great Nino Nano. I do apologize for that non-answer. So whatever this yields is the amount of meatballs that we'll make. Okay? And keep it going, guys. You can see how sticky it's getting, right? It's sticking to yourself. It's sticking to the spoon. Okay? And that is just about done. I'm going to say that's just about ready in a second. Okay? Yes, we do have another channel, guys. There is a chance, because of some Twitch stuff, that this channel may end up getting banned or suspended for something. Guys, type in ! backup if you would like to still support the cooking show. If anything happens, that is where I will be. Also, check out my Discord. Please join my Discord. I have a nice community Discord. You can type in ! Discord. I would love to be able to get some more lovely sous chefs in there, okay? So guys, take a look. All of my beef seems to now be properly blended. So yeah, it's because I made this Twitch account before I was 13. It could be like a whole thing. So we'll see. Nothing is guaranteed. Okay, so guys, take a look. All of the beef is properly blended in now. It has the sauteed onions. It has the garlic. Okay, it has the sauteed onions, it has the garlic, it has the freshly toasted cumin, it has the freshly toasted coriander as well. We have so much flavor, we have so much seasoning, we have the blended parsley, the bread, the egg, and then the milk as well. So this has been all mixed up. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and set this bad boy behind us. Everybody, this meatball mixture is done. It is seasoned, it is spicy, it is earthy. It has everything and anything that you could possibly desire. It's going to make for truly an incredible, lovely meatball today. Okay, so we now have to make the tomato sauce. And also, I'm going to be preheating my oven at 350 for today. That is the temperature that we'll be baking Mr. Meatballs at. Okay? Because we still got to do some other prep. We got a couple of other things to get done, get a couple of other things squared away. I'm going to just quickly wash my hands just in case, even if I did use gloves, just in case there's anything that could be potentially left over. Okay? So the meatball mixture is all done, my friends. We now need to move on to building the tomato sauce for today. So let's get doing that right now. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so yummy, everybody. So remember, we have my charred tomatoes. We have my charred jalapenos. Is this traditional in Turkish cooking? Not particularly. Why am I using charred tomatoes and the charred jalapeno? Well, first and foremost, the most important thing, everybody, I need you all to say, yes, chef. The most important thing to do as a home cook is to first evaluate what you have at home and what you need to get rid of. I looked in my fridge. I had a leftover jalapeno. Are jalapenos in Turkish food? No. Is it just going to make your tomato sauce nice and spicy? Yeah. It's going to be really, really delicious. Now, in Turkish cuisine, you typically grill vegetables, right? You would grill sometimes tomatoes, you would grill peppers, but you wouldn't really do that for like a sauce. I take inspiration from Mexican cooking. One of the best things that you can do as a chef is you can look around you. You can look at the world around you and take different techniques and different ideas from different cultures and then infuse them into the thing that you are making. And in my case, I love the charred tomatoes. I love the charred tomatillos that would be in a Mexican salsa. I talk about this all the time. And so I always do this now for all of my tomato sauces. I have my lovely plum tomatoes. I'm just going to dump them inside. Add my jalapeno. And then we're also going to add a bunch of salt inside. And have all of it blend on up for us today. Get it all in there, get it all in there, and get it all in there. And then everybody, we're also going to be intentionally keeping this tomato sauce raw. And I'll talk to you why we're going to be doing that exactly. Okay, so all of my tomatoes are inside of the blender cup. My blender cup still has some of the parsley from before, but I don't really care. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm keeping the skins on. I love keeping the skins on in a tomato sauce because it really adds in so much flavor and it keeps everything nice and thick. So I'm adding in a nice generous sprinkle of salt inside because I want to have a nice seasoned tomato sauce, and it's also really, really easy to season it as it blends, right? Because it just basically takes care of all of the mixing for you. We're going to take it, and once again, everybody, let's develop a beautiful little tomato sauce. So, tomatoes, jalapenos, salt, blend. And keep it blending, everybody. Keep it blending, keep it blending. I want this thing to be completely and totally smooth. Oh yeah, it's going. Keep it going, everybody. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Keep blending it. We gotta keep blending it to cut up all of the tomato skins. Can I please get a yes, chef? Okay? Every so often, by the way, whenever you're using a blender quite like this one, you want to touch the sides of it and make sure that it's not getting too hot. We purposely cooled down the vegetables after they charred so that it wouldn't make the blender too hot. If the blender gets too hot, it builds up too much pressure. So, the great, you just said tomato is a fruit, people. It's why it melts all with other flavors. Well, not particularly. I'm actually you for a second. So, this entire idea of a fruit versus a vegetable is a purely culinary term used to refer to savory plants. Vegetables don't really exist in the world of science. You have fruiting plants, you have like the fruit of a plant, you have the flowers, you have the petals. Vegetables don't actually entirely exist. So the reason why tomato is here is because, well, first and foremost, it's traditional in Turkish food. Right? This is very, very traditionally used in Turkish cuisine. But then also, yeah, the acidity, the flavor, the aroma, the sugar in it, all of it is lovely. But a fruit doesn't necessarily have to be sweet either. So keep it going, guys. Keep it going, keep it going. Okay? And I think that is now properly blended. But yeah, I mean, what I mean is, vegetables don't really exist in a scientific setting, but they exist in a culinary setting, of course, right? Because we talk about it all the time. Okay, let's taste it. Really yummy, really simple, and we're gonna keep it entirely uncooked. Okie dokie. Guys, that tomato sauce is now officially done. I'm going to go ahead and set that behind me and clean up a little bit. Because remember, when you cook at home, you have to clean as you go. Also, the great Nino, I have a bit of a rant for you. I'm sorry to keep actuallying you, but you didn't do anything wrong this time. You told me to make a restaurant. Everybody, do you want to hear my rant about restaurants? Do you want to hear what I feel and you know, or rather just how I feel about restaurants in general? Would you guys like to know what I have to say on the topic? Because I have a lot of thoughts on this topic matter. Okay, so I'm gonna go to rant. Guys, I don't really want my own restaurant, and I'm going to explain to you why. Restaurants, at least in the United States, they're always going to be a push and pull in a lot of different ways. The first problem is in my mind, how do you actually make food accessible and affordable for a lot of people? To make food accessible and affordable, you have two options, which is what most restaurants do. One, you underpay your employees, your waiters, your waitresses. You give everybody minimum wage with no benefits. And then maybe in 5 years' time, you promise them $20 an hour working as a sous chef or something. You underpay your employees. The second thing that you can do is you get really, really cheap, crappy ingredients. The reason why I have no interest in restaurants is because restaurants with quote-unquote integrity, meaning restaurants that pay their staff well and restaurants that use really, really good quality ingredients, the only people that they actually cater to, the only people that they actually serve are the people with money. They only serve people with enough comfortable pocket change to go out of their way and then to entertain and indulge themselves. So, in a traditional sense, I don't want to have a restaurant because here's what happens. I think having a restaurant for a lot of chefs is the most selfish thing that they could possibly do. They're basically saying, you know, I have all of these creative ideas in my head. I have all these different ideas about how I would want to create a menu and the kinds of food that I want to serve. And so, they do anything to possibly serve that food. They serve it at certain prices, and the only people their food ends up feeding and benefiting, A, they profit creatively, as in they get to fulfill their creative ambition and they get to make money from this, and B, the clientele that they're serving are, typically speaking, six-figure tech workers. With the ones that can afford to pay on a consistent basis $40, entree plates in a New York City restaurant. I have no desire to run a restaurant purely out of creative purpose because my goal at the end of the day is to ultimately feed people. Okay? And so a lot of people, what they do is they just prioritize their own selfish creative ambition and they don't actually influence the world around them. They say, I like working with food. I want a restaurant. I deserve my canvas. I deserve my space to be able to do this thing. And their food ends up feeding nobody. As in, they don't feed the masses. They don't feed the majority of people. They only feed clientele that can afford to go to places like that. It's a very selfish endeavor. And so that is why in a traditional sense, I do not want to have a restaurant. That is the end of my rant. Thoughts, feelings, comments, concerns. I put a lot of thought into this, okay? So in the meantime, let's go ahead and do some of the bell pepper because guys, this is Izmir Köfte, right? It is both baked meatballs as well as some vegetables. In this case, we have a lovely red pepper and then we'll also be cutting up some potatoes, guys, okay? You now know why Vosh endorses you? Well, yeah. Everything that I do here, I want to teach people how to cook at home. I want to empower people. I want to give them skill sets. I want to explain things to them. So, everybody, how many times have you seen people take off the top of a bell pepper and they dig out the seeds? Super inefficient, super big waste of time, especially if you have multiple bell peppers. Let me show you the easy way. First thing, establish, is my bell pepper flat or wobbly? It's wobbly. Let's go ahead and just shave off the bottom part of it to keep it nice and flat. Now that it lies nice and flat and it doesn't wobble, all that we need to do, my friends, is we just need to shave the sides. And by shaving the sides, look at what happens. We keep all of the white part. Oh God, it's one of these. It's got like a little bell pepper fetus thing inside of it. It keeps all of the white part. It keeps all of the seeds just inside, my friends. So we just shave off the sides. We keep all of the white part. We keep all of the seeds, everything in there this way. It's a really good method. And now we can just easily discard that. You can use that in stocks if you would like. Okay? And now, let's think about the size of the bell peppers that you would actually end up liking. I am actually looking for today something along a chunky route for my baked bell peppers. This is what I'm looking for. To bake in alongside the meatballs, okay? Something like this. Let's take it, let's stack it up, okay? And now let's just cut it up into some nice medium chunks. That is what I'm looking for today. Medium chunks, medium chunks, medium chunks. Awesome. And let's get a little bit more. Whoop, come on, buddy, stop rotating, stop spinning. Just one red bell pepper I think will be plenty for today. There you go. But yes, so that is why I have no desire to have my own restaurant at all, in the slightest, okay? In that specific, in that sort of specific format. Now, the kind of restaurant contract that I've always envisioned for myself is I want to have a sister restaurant. I want to have a fine dining restaurant that is so good that I can get away with charging, like it would be like a 3 Michelin star restaurant, that is so good that I can upcharge people $100 to go and eat there. I want to take all of the surplus money from that restaurant as a form of wealth redistribution to a restaurant that is only basically localized and locked to the people of that neighborhood, to the people of that community to go and eat there. Okay, but it still uses these super expensive, ingredients from like small local farms. The reason why ingredients from small local farms are expensive is because they quite literally can't compete with big farms. They have to sell it at those prices, and I would still want to pay people extremely well, enough money that they can live on. So the concept, the model that I've always dreamed of, everybody, is a sister restaurant concept. You have a really, really expensive restaurant that overcharges people for incredible, like fine dining, super high level fine dining food, and all of the excess profits from it will go towards the sister restaurant that is meant to actually truly feed people. It is a form of wealth redistribution. It is taking money away from the hands of the rich. That's what I want to do. Okay? That is the only kind of restaurant model I'd ever want in the future. So, everybody. But the goal is, a restaurant is not just about feeding people, it's also about paying the staff well, it's also about paying the farmers well. So by doing it in that model, I'm able to actually help support 3 different groups of people along the way. So all of my red bell pepper, nicely and beautifully chopped. Guys, we have to go ahead and get some potatoes for today as well. And I'm thinking we're going to use like 2 little teeny tiny potatoes. Okay, so let's go ahead and peel this up. Because again, guys, the goal one day is ultimately to have a much better relationship with agriculture in our country, right? So that things from a farmer's market aren't nearly as expensive as they are, right? And in order to do that in the beginning steps, we need to figure out how to make that kind of a food more accessible to people, because people without money deserve to eat well. They deserve to have good quality food available to them. Everybody, we're going to be peeling up my potatoes, and then we'll just be slicing them up. The reason why we peel them is because I don't really want that papery texture inside of my final product today. Let's just peel them. Let's peel them. Let's peel them. Let's peel them. Awesome. Just keep it going, everybody. Peel it and peel it and peel it. Okay. And peel it, peel it, peel it. There you go. Nice sharp peeler. Makes nice quick work of the skin, everybody. Does anybody have any questions for me? In the meantime. But yeah, I do like truly mean that. Like, tasting courses are like, typically like $300 or so. I charge people $500 for a tasting course. I pay all of those staff really well. And then all of that excess profit just goes into the other restaurant concept. So, peeling the potato. But yeah, I love the skin of the potato. I think it's super flavorful, except for this dish. Again, I'm just not looking for that texture of the potato peel. Okay? So guys, all that we're going to need to do now, these are just 2 gold potatoes. Why am I using gold potatoes? I really love the texture. They're really, really custardy almost. What is a food you hate? Keepers, I got a very pretentious answer for you. There is no food that I actually hate. I love food as long as it is done well relative to the intentions that you apply to it. So as long as food is done well and with integrity, I will love it. Okay, guys, and now I'm going to just take each of these potatoes. I'm going to slice them in half lengthwise. Slice them in half lengthwise. And now I want to get thin slices of potato, because the goal of this potato is for it to bake in this lovely tomato sauce, guys. I want it to bake up in the tomato sauce. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be delicious. And so in order to make sure that it gets properly cooked, nice thin slices, everybody. Thin, all the way through. And when I say thin, I mean this thin. Okay, that is a thin slice. So let's take it and nice thin slices. Beautiful. That's that, and then one last one. Awesome. That is the exact cut on the potatoes that I am looking for today. And now let's just go ahead and get that transferred over to my little teeny tiny plate here. These slices look potato chip ready. Well, maybe a little too thick for potato chips. For that, you need paper thin. Okay? Beautiful. All my potatoes are nicely sliced. Guys, almost all of the prep work is completely done for today. The last thing that we're going to need to do is to ball up the meatballs. Is everybody ready to make some meatballs now? Oh, it's time. I'm going to just quickly take all of this stuff off of my cutting board. What is you though about other social media influencers that do cooking just for money? Well, Jack, they just don't particularly interest me. I think they go about food in a very selfish way. They've at one point in their lives decided, hey, I want to just do what I love for work. They've never thought about how can I actually impact the livelihood of other people with doing what I do. And so, I don't have much interest in them subsequently. Guys, that is our lovely meatball mixture, and this is a nice big plate. And so we are going to use one of my favorite kitchen tools, guys. This right here is the humble cookie scoop. Ooh, It has some stuff dried in it. 1 second. Guys, this is called a cookie scoop. I love using this for meatballs. We're able to get nice, evenly shaped, evenly sized, consistent balls. Okay? So, cookie scoop. Invest in one of these. Otherwise, you could just use your hands, but this just makes it so much easier. I picked this up in a restaurant one day. I never worked in restaurants. I only apprenticed when I was like 13 years old. Not professionally trained at all, mostly self-taught. But I saw them use a cookie scoop for so many different things, and I just thought I had to use one of these. So guys, let's go ahead and use this bad boy for scooping up some meatballs. Nice, and I want large meatballs today. I want them to be nice and large so they stay nice and juicy. Okay, look at that, nice big, that's a thick ball. And put it on the plate. Ready? Nice thick ball, nice and easy. Clean up the sides and on the plate. Guys, isn't that easy? Isn't that simple? Isn't that perfect? Isn't this the beauty of using a cookie scoop? Take a look. All of them, lovely. There you go. That is a good looking meatball, my friends. Yeah. Much better than handballing. That's right, Serena. Does anybody have any questions about this meatballing process for us today? It is so fast. It's so efficient. It's efficient. It's consistent. This gets you some impressive balls, guys. I promise. Okay? And there you go. Just a few more to go. We have about like 3 more that I could reasonably make from this amount. I'm just going to move them aside so they don't stick to each other too much. These are very, very dainty meatballs though. They're very delicate. They're very fragile. They're super, super wet. So these guys may or may not end up falling apart as they cook. And if so, life will move on. We'll live, I suppose. We did not have to oil a scoop at all. No, Serena. Because the really nice thing, it just has this little thing in there, just cleans it all up. If you did have problems with stickage, I would just say use a little bit of cold water. Cold water does a very nice job of unsticking to it. Okay? So I would just dip it in that or something. Okay? And we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. We got one last meatball that we could really, really make here. Okay? And there you go. Everybody, let's go ahead and take each meatball. I'm just going to go run my hand under some nice cold water really quickly. Well, hopefully it doesn't drip too much as I try to make this journey. There you go. Nice cold water. I'm going to pick it up, and now I'm just going to ball these up into these little meatballs, guys. Cookie scoop, isn't it for ice cream? Well, it's typically sold as a cookie scoop. Ice cream scoops, they don't tend to have the lever, although it's also very good for ice cream. Chef, what are those football-shaped things that French people put on pastries? I have no idea what you're talking about, Serena. Like with 2 spoons. Oh, you're talking about a canal. I think that's called a canal. Yeah, it's just like a little fancy shape that you do with 2 spoons. Very big fine dining thing. Okay? There you go, guys. Those are all of my meatballs ready to bake here. We're going to just flatten them slightly to give them a little bit more structural integrity so that they don't entirely fall apart. Okay, guys, are you ready? Are you ready for us to now put everything together with the meatballs, with the tomato sauce, with the potatoes and the peppers? Is everybody ready for this? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, from everybody, please, and thank you. So we have my meatballs ready to go. I have, of course, this lovely assortment of potatoes and red peppers, and then I also have some of my tomato sauce right here. Can I wait 5 minutes? I cannot, Count J. Bach. I cannot at all. Today's going to be a long stream. And I want to hear a yes, chef, from everybody watching, even if it's your first time here. My tomato sauce, nice and seasoned. My beef here, beautifully seasoned, nice and spicy. And now, guys, we are going to be using some of my favorite kitchen tools. These are these little cute USSR era clay pots that I have here. They're real flex to use them. Okay, I really, really like these things. You can bake in them. They're super, super nice. They're going to just really trap the moisture in. You could just use like a glass baking sheet. I just really like cracking these things open. I think they're just really, really fun to cook with. They're really fun to play with. So here's what we got to do, guys. We got to first start by making a layer of potatoes right on the bottom, and we want to make sure that they're not really touching each other too much, because then otherwise they will struggle to properly cook. Okay, so get those potatoes right onto the bottom of each one. Okay, and let's just continue to load them all up. The only issue with these is that this might be like a little too tall, so it could struggle to, like the edges are like a little too rounded, so I'm not gonna be able to get like my ideal quantity of potatoes in here. But maybe I'll just layer it in and it'll be okay. Yeah, here's what we'll do. We'll do some bell peppers now. And then the meatballs are just gonna be right on top. So bell peppers. Just like that. And then we'll just layer in a few more potatoes. Just get them inside. Yep, just like that, everybody. Nice and thin again so that they cook nice and quickly inside of the oven itself. Okay, and then I also have one more of these that I was planning on using today. I promise you, we're going to cover this with the tomato sauce. The heat is going to distribute plenty evenly inside of this, okay? So that is not going to be a concern for today. Thank you for the concern, though. So guys, potatoes and bell peppers. And now I'm just going to go ahead and grab, I have one more of these that I could use for today. One more of these bad boys. So let's go ahead and get the rest of the potatoes inside. This one's a much wider vessel, so it'll do a bit of an easier job, I think. Okay? Something like that now. Awesome. Just get it all in there, my friends. Get it all in there, get it all inside. Every single little last tiny potato. And now let's go ahead and hit this with some of the red bell pepper. Okay, beautiful. And now, guys, it is time for us to layer in the meatballs and to cover everything with the tomato sauce. Okay, this is how we make the İzmir köfte. So last step happening now. Let's go in with each and every single one of my lovely meatballs and then load it up with the tomato sauce. And it's all going to bake in, guys. We're going to get these bubbling cauldrons. And it's going to be amazing. Chef, did I watch OG SpongeBob as a kid? Absolutely. Jack, that had a massive influence on me. Guys, it is time for us to now gently, we're going to pick up each of our lovely meatballs. I think these smaller cauldrons will be able to take in 3 or 4 of them at a time or so. Ooh, that is a soft meatball. Okay, I think the small cauldrons can only take 3. Yeah, just 3 on these guys. And that's okay. I just don't want to destroy the integrity. I don't want to destroy the texture of these meatballs. Okay? And now let's layer in this one. There you go. There you go. And why am I doing such an elaborate process? Well, we want the potatoes and the bell peppers to be on the bottom because we want to really protect the meatballs on top because they're so dainty and so fragile. And we want them to all get cooked down. All of the moisture is going to be basically pooled up at the bottom. Okay? And when it's pooled up at the bottom like that, it'll just be able to really properly boil the potatoes and boil the bell peppers and still let the meatball itself sort of bake up a little bit. So I'm actually just going to add in the rest of that in just like so. Can I move that around a little bit maybe? Or is it just going to fall apart on me? A little bit of a challenge, but I think we can do it, guys. Okay, I think that should be more or less okay. So is it going to end up falling apart as it cooks? Potentially, but that's okay. Everybody, the last and the final step. Remember my beautiful tomato sauce here. Okay, I'm actually going to shake it up first. Do I try to impress Ace with my cooking? Absolutely, Count J. Bach. Absolutely, I do. We're going to mix it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Okay, and now we are going to cover all of these bad boys with a generous amount of the tomato sauce. Okay, and we want to make sure that it really seeps in there, okay? So a generous amount in each. Shake it up, get it all in there. We're going to slightly expose each of the meatballs on the top. Get it in there, guys. Flood it with that tomato sauce. And it's all going to bake up. It's all going to bake up. It's all going to be lovely together. Tomato sauce goes in. Shake it up. Make sure it all goes in nice and evenly. Okay, shake it up. And the last of it just goes in. Shake it up, and the last of it just goes inside. And so the meatballs are also going to release more moisture as they cook. And we're just shaking it to get the rest of the sauce to just pool up at the bottom. Okay, I ended up splashing a whole bunch all over the place. So I apologize for the mess. Let me quickly clean this up. But first, okay, take a look. The tomato sauce, the chili sauce, nice and seasoned. We're going to now cover up each and every single one of my lovely little guys Take a look. And now they're going to be ready for the oven. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up because I kind of made a mess with this. Everybody, we have put in so much effort. And no, Audio Murphy, this is İzmir Köfte. İzmir Köfte does not have any cheese inside of it. This is just a traditional Turkish meatball that we're doing today. Okay, so guys, take a look, take a look. Inside of these pots, we have beautifully sliced bell peppers, beautifully sliced up potatoes. Then we made this homemade tomato sauce out of charred plum tomatoes, out of a little bit of jalapeno, seasoned it with salt. The meatballs themselves, freshly ground beef, loaded with cumin, loaded with coriander, okay? Loaded with cumin, loaded with coriander, garlic, sauteed onions, bread, a little bit of Turkish red pepper. And now we have all of them in their little clay pots. Let's go ahead and get this onto a sheet tray just so that we can easily put it inside of the oven, guys. Okay, so take a look. All of this is just going to go on like so. And these clay pots, they do a really good job of trapping the heat. Now, you don't have to use a clay pot if you do not want to. Okay, you could just use a basic glass baking dish. But these bad boys are just so much more fun for me to use. So let's go ahead, 350 degrees for about 40 minutes or so. Guys, these meatballs, they're gonna be soft, they're gonna be juicy. This spicy tomato sauce all around them. Is everybody excited? I wanna hear a nice resounding yes, chef. The beautiful tender potato and the bell pepper on the bottom of it too. This is gonna be some serious, serious business. Okay, so into the oven all of it goes, 350 degrees, 40 minutes, everybody. And again, keep it nice and covered. It's going to keep all the moisture inside to make sure that the potatoes evenly steam through. It's not going to keep the meatballs juicy, it's just going to make sure that everything evenly cooks inside. I'm going to take a second to quickly clean up a couple of things. Outside of this meal, what is a good reason to get a clay pot? Count Bach, amazing question. 2 words, baked pastas. Baked pastas, baked pastas, baked pastas. I love doing baked pastas in little individual clay pots. It is awesome. It is impressive. It's so, so good. It builds up such a good crust inside of there too. Love it. But yeah, the shape of the meatball will get a little compromised, but who cares? We'll still have a nice, juicy, soft meatball, my friends, the way that God intended them to be. I hate rubbery, bouncy meatballs. Who wants a rubbery, bouncy meatball that tastes like a little, hockey puck? I don't want them. You don't want them either because I don't want them. And I have good taste, objectively. So the bread in there, the onions, it's all gonna keep it nice and soft and nice and squishy. I'm just quickly throwing a couple of things into the dishwasher to make sure that I'm staying nice and organized. So, I also have like this big meat bowl that I want to quickly clean up. Everybody, if you have any questions, now would be a good time just to quickly ask me, as I'm going to just take care of this dish. So I'm going to slightly step off frame for like the next minute or so as I do clean that up. So any and all questions that you may have, this is the best possible time that you could ask me. So I encourage you to ask me, please and thank you. Because remember, when you cook at home, you have to clean as you go. This is a home cooking show. Everything that I make here, I and my mother, we both eat throughout the week. And so whenever you have a little bit of downtime, that is when you stop, that is when you go and you focus on the other things that you just have left over to do. Okay? Specifically, clean as you go. This is called passive time, my friends. Can I re-comment really quick? What do you mean, Serena? What are you specifically asking me? So I just took the chat with me. Okay, and now I'm just going to wash up a couple of my supplies. Chef, thank you for the AKA part in the menu. Ooh, of course. Yes, so my entire goal is I don't want to just use the traditional names of things in their traditional languages because they're not very descriptive for a lot of people that don't speak that language. Okay, I want to give you both the anglicized version or the translated version and then also what it would be called in that language so that you could then look it up. So, Serena, I'm glad that was appreciated. So I do have a small question. Yes, the great Nino, please ask me. Ask away. I am all yours to ask for these kinds of things. Oh, I probably could have made one more meatballs worth of schmeat, but that's okay. Whatever. Whoa, ah! No! I just dropped that on the floor, and now I have some ground beef on the floor. This is tragic. This is so tragic. Okay. Woe is me. Guys, it is not easy being Daramgar. That is terrible. That is atrocious. The life of Daramgar is not an easy one. Okay. Alright, I got the schmeat off of it. It'll be fine. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and quickly finish washing up this bowl, get all of the meat off of it, and just throw that into my dishwasher. Because again, the goal is to stay nice and organized, everybody. We gotta stay nice and organized. Is everybody still watching? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, from everybody that is here, please, and thank you. I have a backsliding L when I say liquid oil. So I have rhoticism. So really good call out. That was actually really, really specific. Yeah, I have rhoticism. So that has nothing to do with my accent. My condolences. So dramatic. No, it's fine. It's chill. We're chilling. We're hanging out. No biggie. Okay. That has now been officially washed. That has now been officially put away. And so I believe we can move on to the next step. Jack, it's a speech impediment. That's not how you spell it, though. But let's talk less about that and more specifically about the food. Everybody, the meatballs, the İzmir Köfte is currently in the oven. Again, it's the tomato sauce, it's the chili sauce. It has the potatoes, okay? There's the potatoes inside of there. It's really, really beautiful. Okay, it's going to get nice and soft. It's going to bubble away inside of there. It's going to get nice and flavorful. We're going to make some incredible meatballs. So, really quickly, we are going to just quickly set up my station, my cutting board, and we are going to be moving on to my Turkish lentil soup. Okay, everybody, who is ready for another rant about lentils? Is everybody ready for a rant about lentils? Because I got things to say. I do mean everybody. I want to hear that from everybody. Okay? So, I'm a little bit new to working with lentils, admittedly. I'm a little bit new. The first time was when I made that French green lentil salad, which is really surprising to me, right? Because lentils are just truly one of my favorite foods. They're so cheap, they're so accessible, they're so nutritious, they're so good for you. This is the kind of a thing that I think everybody should be making and everybody should be eating. There is no reason not to be partaking in lentil consumption and lentil creation. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you these bad boys again. For today, I'm using red lentils, but you could also theoretically use yellow lentils. Red lentils and yellow lentils differ from brown, green, and black lentils. Brown, green, black lentils, they have the skin on them. The goal of the red and yellow lentils is they get so soft that they essentially collapse in whatever you cook them in. They collapse, they turn nice and creamy, used all the time in Indian cooking, right? And so this is going to be, of course, the base of the Turkish lentil soup that we're doing today. Lentils are cheap, lentils are nutritious. That is why I want to use this, because I'm tired of all of my protein only coming from meat sources. It gets really, really expensive that way. I want to be able to diversify my diet. I want to be able to make a lot more things. And so, lentils is something that I am actually quite new to. Also, Celestial Rain, thank you so much for the Prime sub. It's very sweet of you. I want to get good at lentils. I want you all to get good at lentils. And so we are going to get good at lentils together, my friends. Everybody needs to be eating lentils. They're easy, they're fast, they're so accessible, and you can do so many different things with them, okay? So let's go ahead and let's get in here. Let's get over to my cutting board, guys. And now we have to do some vegetable prep for today. For my lentil soup, as any soup begins, I do not think it is even physically possible to have a soup without, of course, the humble onion. In my case, I'm just using a basic onion here. I'm using the cheapest onion in the grocery store. Why? Because it's going to get blended down into a soup, guys. Don't overthink this. Okay, can I please get a yes, chef? Do not overthink this. Get the cheapest onion that you have available to you. Nice, humble little onion. But in the meantime, we will simply be preheating this lovely pan here. Guys, once again, remember how I taught you how to preheat stainless steel. Low, medium heat is the key. Low, medium heat is your friend. If you blast it with a high heat, you will develop hot spots and you will develop cool spots. Low, medium heat, and we will not have any of that, and our onion will be able to cook beautifully. Low, medium heat, and guys, we're making Turkish food. And if you know anything about Turkish food, if you know anything about Middle Eastern food or Mediterranean food, you know what you have? A shit ton of fucking olive oil, right? Normally I keep this PG-13, so that is my first and last one. So you can't really have Turkish food without olive oil. That is why I gave it so much emphasis. You cannot have Turkish food without olive oil. Olive oil is delicious. It's so flavorful. It's going to blend into the soup exquisitely, guys. So generous, generous. I mean, I'm glugging it in. I have just, did you see how many glugs of olive oil that was? that is a serious, serious quantity of olive oil inside. And that is just the way that Turkish food is, my friends. It's going to make your soup so velvety. It's going to make it so creamy. Okay, so let us begin with all of the prep that we need to do. Everybody, today we need to go ahead and chop up this humble little onion. So we're going to go ahead and cut off his head. Off with his head, very French of me. We've decapitated the bourgeois onion. Not so humble, is it? And then we will take him and we will slice him in half through the root end. What is better, Greek food or Turkish food? No such thing as Count J. Bach. Because what you've just said, you can't compare two different cuisines. You can't compare the two. They're both beautiful in their own ways. Okay? So the onion has been decapitated. Everybody rejoice in chat. I know you people from Vasha's channel would love that, wouldn't you? All right? Onion, peeling them up over my little waste bowl that I just had ready to go. Okay? And now we have these two onion halves, guys. We have these two lovely little onion halves, and all we're going to need to do, we need to get a rough medium dice. We actually don't need to get a perfect dice with the onions for today. The reason why we don't need to get a perfect dice is because we're actually going to be blending down the soup. Is tzatziki Greek or Turkish? Tzatziki is used in a lot of different cuisines, Count J. Bach, so it is neither. It does not belong to either, rather, I want to say. And I think every single guy does it a little bit differently too. Okay, so guys, medium dice. We're going to do the onion fan method once again. Make a bunch of incisions, make a bunch of incisions, make a bunch of incisions. Chat, what do we make a bunch of? I want you all to say incisions, chef, please and thank you. Why do we say incisions? Because it's not falling apart. It's attached by the root end. And now that it's attached to us by the root end, we can go ahead and obtain the small/medium dice of our dreams. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's all going to be blended down anyways. Okay, so just chop it up, get it done, get it processed. This is not the thing that you need to be spending a million years on, okay? And we'll go ahead and move on to the next one and do the same exact thing. We have a bunch, guys, we have a plethora of olive oil, okay, inside of there. And that is exactly the way that it should be done. Because remember, there is no Turkish food without it. Ooh, actually, I might have mismanaged my time. What am I going to do when the lentil soup cooks? Uh-oh. I didn't think that through entirely, did I? Well, we'll figure it out. Okay, all of my onions, guys, nice little medium dice on these. So let's go ahead and just transfer them to a bowl. Or a plate in my case. This is just going to be my transfer plate, and this is how we're going to get from the cutting board into my pot. Okay, there is no Turkish food, period. What? What are you trying to say? What is the implication? Okay, so all of my onions, guys, they have been properly diced, and all of it is just going to cook down, and we're going to cook them in the same exact way as before. We're going to get them nice and beautiful, nice and golden, nice and delicious, guys. Okay, come take a look. All of my onions, move those over to the side, and soon enough, once the oil heats up, remember we're heating it up low and slow, we'll add that in. Let us move on to the humble carrot. This is a pretty important part of the soup, guys. The carrot is going to blend in and also contribute a really, really beautiful texture, okay, into the final product. Even more onion, I think one onion is going to be plenty. I actually don't think I want to use all of this carrot because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be a lentil soup. It's not supposed to be a vegetable soup, right? So all of these are just for the sake of thickening the soup and for the sake of flavoring it. And so for today, guys, I think I am just going to use, I want to say roughly this much carrot. All of this, I'm just going to set that aside for a later use at some point. And I use the end just because it is kind of the ugliest part of the carrot, right? It's just really, really thin. So all that we're going to do, we're going to go over the bowl. And once again, guys, all that we need to do, we just peel. We just peel, we peel, we peel. Warning, chef. What are people warning us? What's happening in chat right now? Greek people get pissed off when you attribute something to Turkey. Well, I haven't attributed anything to Turkey, have I? So I guess I'm chilling. Guess I'm good for now. So guys, again, we want to go light on the carrot. Light on the carrot because at the end of the day, this is a lentil soup. The star of the show is the lentils. The star of the show is not the carrot. Okay? So my carrot has now been peeled up. I'm going to just chop off the dried bit on the end. Everybody, let's take the carrot and let's first just cut him in half like so. And then we're going to slice him down the middle. Slice him down the middle. Okay? And the great Nino Nano, don't worry about that. I promise you we got that all covered. Just slice him down the middle. Okay? And all that we're going to do now is just cut that in half lengthwise, cut that in half lengthwise. What looks better, suits or dresses? Jack, I'm a suit guy. I love suits. I don't actually own one anymore. I had to give it back to my friend. But I love suits. And guys, medium dice. Medium dice. Just keep it relatively small so it does cook up a little bit faster. Just a nice medium dice. Nice and easy. Also, my olive oil, I can tell you right now by the smell of it, the olive oil has heated up. Guys, let's go to the stove. Look at my beautiful, beautiful pot of olive oil, one of life's greatest sights. I'm going to go in with all of my onion and we're going to fry it in this olive oil. We're going to infuse the olive oil with all of the aroma, with all of the flavor of the onion. It looks like an aggressive amount, I know, but that is okay, guys. It is supposed to be an aggressive amount of olive oil inside. Because remember, Turkish food, Mediterranean food, Middle Eastern food, you cannot have it without olive oil. Can I please get a yes, chef? So it's now frying in that olive oil, medium-low heat, 3-stage cooking process. Collapse, evaporate, caramelize. Something like that. Big hit of salt inside. Awesome. And now let's just stir it up with all of that salt and just get it cooking nice and gently. Nice and gentle, nice and gentle. Okay, awesome. Next, let's go ahead and finish prepping up our carrots. For today, the onions are inside of the oil. They're just collapsing at the moment. Let's get that finally all diced up. And I think that should be good. Again, guys, small quantity of carrots relative to everything else because the carrots are not the main star today. The carrots are not the highlight of the show. Okay, the highlight of the show is going to be all about those lentils. Grab a snack. The great Nino, I don't snack. I only, or at least ideally, I only eat my lunches and dinners. So, all of my carrots, nicely peeled and chopped up. Let's move on to a little bit more garlic. Let's go grab my handy dandy little garlic press. Let's go ahead and grab some nice big cloves of garlic, guys. Big cloves of garlic, 3 big cloves of garlic. Take a look, guys. And once again, what tool will we be using for today? We'll be using the garlic press. Why? Because chopping garlic by hand is such an effort. It sticks, it smells. Well, I don't really care about the smell part, but it's the fact that it's sticky and it's incredibly inefficient. So we take it and then we just go ahead and we crush it. We take it and we crush it. And we do that for each of them. Okay? And then, guys, the fact that we've crushed them, guess what happens? It easily peels off. Look at that. It peels off. It comes off just like that. Okay? Come take a look. All of my garlic cloves have now been properly crushed, and all we're going to do is we're just going to cut off the butts, because we have no use for butts here. None of the dried off butts. It's just dry and doesn't really do anything for us. Okay? Lovely. And I'm just going to chop this all in half just so it fits into my garlic press. You making Cobb salad, Audio Murphy? You know how I feel about Cobb salad. You know how I feel about it. Is that bait? And remember, you can't have too much garlic at the end of the day. You're on a diet? Cobb salad doesn't have like a pound. What kind of diet are we on, Audio Murphy? Okay. What else can garlic presses be used for? So Fire Blacking, I got some unfortunate news for you. Kind of just garlic. And that might seem like a deal breaker to some people, but I promise you, I cook with garlic all the time. You probably cook with garlic all the time too. It is worth busting out one of these bad boys because I like to work with a lot of garlic. So I wouldn't really use this for anything else. It's okay for something to be a unitasker, guys. It is okay for something to just have one purpose if you use that purpose a lot. Okay, in my case, I cook with garlic all the time. And so having something that makes this process so much quicker is just a really good life improvement overall. Okay, all my garlic has now been properly minced. How much is one of them? Oh, they're so cheap. You can buy it anywhere. You can buy it anywhere. Guys, the onions, they're cooking down. They're reducing, they're breaking down, they're getting nice and sweet, and soon enough, they will too become nice and golden brown. It just needs a little bit of time, it needs a little bit of patience. I'm also just going to throw this pan into my dishwasher. This is just a kind of whatever IKEA pan. Although it is mostly clean, dishwasher it is. Makes my life a little easier later on. And guys, those onions, you can hear them now. You can hear them. They're beginning to just properly and beautifully fry. Gorgeous. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far? First, we fry the onions. Then we add in the carrots. Then we add in the garlic. Then we add in the lentils and the tomato paste. We pour in some water. We finish it off with a little bit of mint. We blend it all up. The seasoning on this is actually intentionally very delicate. The seasoning on this is supposed to be really, really simple. Because this is a lentil soup at the end of the day. This is supposed to be cheap. This is supposed to be easy. This is supposed to be quick. Okay? This is the kind of a thing that takes you almost no time to throw together that you can do out of some of the cheapest vegetables. And at the end of it, it is incredible. It is delicious. It's nutritious. It is so good. Everybody, I want you all to cook with more lentils. I need to hear a yes chef. I need to hear a yes chef from everybody watching. And I do mean everybody, even if it's your first time talking. I want to get you all excited about lentils because I'm excited about them and so should you. They're just ideal in the home setting. Anybody can do them at any level of cooking whatsoever. They're incredibly forgiving, especially yellow lentils and red lentils that want you to overcook them, right? They're super forgiving. They're great for beginners. I love lentils to death. Love them, and I can't get enough of them. Okay, so that's going, that's happening, that's doing its thing at the moment. And now let us just continue to stir the onions. The meatballs have about 20 minutes left on them, so they'll come out a little bit sooner. That's okay. Beautiful. Mix it all around. Now, my friends, those onions are beginning to properly fry inside of all of that oil. Awesome. Okay. Would I have to change your cooking gas for environmental purposes? So, the great Nino Nano, my answer is, in the future, induction would be nice to have. Electric, terrible. I cannot stand electric to save my own life. In the future, yeah, I think it would just be a good choice for me to do. Yeah. But at the end of the day, so this might be like a little bit of a cop-out thing, right, to say here. And so somebody please butt in if you feel like I'm in the wrong for this. But I do truly think that at the end of the day, in terms of actual environmental purposes, a lot of the changes that do need to happen are on a very large scale. However, reducing our dependence on natural gas would be great. Kendrick versus Drake thoughts. Count J. Bach, I know nothing about it. I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about rap music. Okay. So, guys, I have my carrots. I have my lovely garlic. Let's also go ahead and measure out a bunch of tomato paste. The tomato paste is going to give this dish some oomph. It's going to give it some flavor. It's going to give it some depth and some meatiness. There you go. And I do mean like a generous amount of tomato paste, guys. Something like that will do. Also, ideally, buy tomato paste in tubes. You can easily close it, put it in your fridge. Buying canned tomato paste, it's just so difficult to use again, as you guys may know. Oh, these onions. The onions, they smell incredible. They're just frying up properly. They're looking really, really good, guys. That is looking excellent at the moment. Okay, my ingredients are measured out. Things are ready to go. Okay. Next, what are we going to need to do? We are going to need to start measuring out some lentils. We're going to be doing roughly a cup of lentils for today. And then we just got to swirl them and rinse them. We swirl them just in case there's any stones that got left over in the process of processing them. So, I have a measuring cup right here. I don't really normally cook with measuring cups like that. I just know that like 1 cup of lentils is going to produce me the amount that I want for today. So 1 cup of lentils it is. And let's just go ahead and pour it. So, tubes of tomato paste. So, Two Dads Kissing. It's a fairly newer thing in the United States. This was a thing in Europe for quite some time, as, you know, many innovations tend to be. Okay? Nice little cup of red lentils. Also, which aisle would it be? I don't remember. It's been a while since I bought it. I'm sorry. Guys, really cool thing. This little tool, I forgot what this is called, actually. See if you can find this somewhere. Just look it up. Plastic bag saver. This I use, instead of always repackaging my lentils into like a jar or something, I just pop on one of these bad boys. It's basically like a really, really good bag clip. It keeps it nice and folded. I don't know what these are called, but they're really, really good to have. They're really, really good at what they do. Okay, they just keep things nice and fresh. They keep it nice and sealed away from bugs, anything that you do not want getting inside. Oh, these onions, they're cooking up really, really nicely. I'm just rotating this to make sure nothing is sticking and nothing is burning. There you go. Okay, awesome. Does my hair tie just keep coming undone? That is annoying, to say the least. Okay, so all that we're going to do, we're just going to very, very barely sort them. Modern lentils, modern grain processing methods, they don't leave a lot of stones, they don't leave a lot of dirt. But we're just going to go through this just in case and see, is there anything that we need to pick out? We're just looking for something that's off-colored. We're looking for something that doesn't look like it belongs in the lentils themselves. So I have like this little white bit there that I'm going to go ahead and get rid of. But there really isn't that much to sort. Sometimes it's just like the dried up husks. But yeah, guys, modern lentils in the year 2024, very, very little of it, at least buying it in the West, will have impurities that you do not want in your final product, okay? So we're just basically rummaging through it. We're setting up like as much surface area as possible, and we're looking for anything really, really darkly colored. We're looking for any husks of the skin or anything, but I'm going to tell you right now that this just mostly looks okay. It just looks okay. The onions are going, the onions are properly frying, and all of that oil, my friends, they're getting nice and golden. The meatballs are baking. Maybe we'll snack on the meatballs. We could probably snack on the meatballs while the soup is actually being made. Okay, and now all that I'm going to do, everybody, I'm going to go to the sink and I'm just going to be rinsing these lentils like you would almost rinse rice. So we're agitating, right? We're going through them all and then we're just going to strain them out. Does anybody have any questions for me while I'm rinsing the lentils? Because this is a really, really good time to do so because I just need a second to get this process all done, right? We're just washing off any excess dirt on them that may have resulted from the packaging. And there you go, I actually ended up getting one black husk out of there. And that's the second one. Oh, yeah, actually washing it's pretty good. Okay, and I'm just washing them, getting them nice and clean for today. Okay. No questions in the moment, guys? Nobody has anything to say to me? Tragedy. Just washing up my lentils, getting them all nice and clean until the water mostly runs clear. But we're not going to be doing it with any hot water, no warm water. If you do warm water, you're going to end up turning it into mush before it even gets to the pan. Okay? There you go. Awesome. And I think that should be okay. There we go. Whew. How many games have you / are playing? At the moment, I'm really only playing Brawlhalla. I just kind of take games one at a time. I never really juggle multiple games or anything. Okay, guys, look at all of these onions. Look how delicious they look. Look how golden brown they look. The oil is properly infused with all of that flavor. Okay? And so all that we really have left to do, we just got to peel up the potatoes, we got to chop the potatoes, and then while all of that is cooking, we'll also work on some parsley, work on the garnishes, take out the meatballs. Is everybody excited for food today? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. What type of Minecraft player am I? I just dig. Jack, I just dig. I just make very organized strip mines, very organized, and I dig. That is the only way that I like to play the game. And I do truly mean the only way. I hate almost everything else. I just like being incredibly organized. Okay, there we go. I play the way that it was intended to be played. Okay? Also, that's not enough yes chefs. What is going on? One more time, guys. One more time. That was like 5, 6 people, and I know that's just not enough. Okay, it's a little bit warm in here, so let's just cool it down even further. Okay, that's right. I want to see some sorry chefs, please, and thank you. Good. Glad all of you are listening. So let's go ahead and peel up these potatoes as well. Everybody, the potatoes are essential for the final viscosity, for the final texture of the lentil soup itself, because otherwise it gets kind of gritty, but the little bit of extra starch from the potato, it helps to make the whole thing really nice and smooth. In fact, I think I'm only going to be using one of these little yellow potatoes for today. Unfortunately, one of them is going to get left behind because, again, it's not a potato soup. This is not a potato soup. This is not a carrot soup. We want very little potato. The potato is the thickening agent. I see some Turkish cooks, I was like doing some research for this. Some of them use flour. I don't think I would want to use flour. I just want to use a potato. So much more flavor, so much more delicious. Okay, and so we're just going all the way around and we're getting rid of the skin. Why are we getting rid of the skin? Well, again, it would just be papery and it would mess with the consistency of the final soup. So one little tiny baby yellow potato. People are keeping me as ASMR. That's impossible. There's nothing ASMR about me. I'm loud and I tell people what to do all the time. That is, I think, the opposite of what ASMR really is. Okay, so take a look at those onions, guys. They're properly frying in all of that oil. And now we're actually going to go in with the carrots, and hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of color onto the carrots as well, my friends. So the carrots going inside. Let's go ahead and cook them up. Let's cook them up. Let's cook them up. Let's mix them up in all of that oil. Okay, awesome. Let's get those carrots fried up a little bit as well. They don't need too much frying. We just want to get some color, some flavor developed on them. And again, we're just pushing down the sides of the pan. So, small cubes of potato, guys. The goal is for the potato to break down, for it to mash down, and for it to become one and the same with the lentil soup. Okay? So just take it, slice it up into little pieces, and then chunk it up, chunk, chunk, chunk. Take it and chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up, chunk it up. Awesome. That is it. That is all that we really need to do for the potatoes. Remember, we will be using a stick blender at the end of the day, so it will all get blended down anyhow. So it's okay. It is completely and totally okay if your knife cuts aren't 100% perfect for this. Okay. Look at that. Potatoes, carrot, tomato, onions. The reason why we're not soaking the potatoes in water is because we're just going to be using them really, really soon. Okay? Ooh. That is good. That looks wonderful. Guys, look at those vegetables. Look at the vegetables inside of this pot right now. Look at it. Look at it go. It's nice and golden. It's nice and beautiful. It's nice and flavorful, everybody. Okay, let us continue. So, wait, let me go ahead and have a little sip of water first, actually. Jack, probably not. I'm sorry. I don't think I have much interest in that. Guys, it is time. Everybody, I need you to hear the nice chef. I need you all to listen. We're going to add the garlic in now. Why do we add the garlic in at this stage? Okay? We add the garlic in at the stage and not in the beginning is because if we added the garlic in the beginning, it would have ended up burning. A lot of soups, a lot of sauteing is all about knowing how to synchronize everything. Okay? It's about knowing the timing of things. And so, the onions in the beginning because they take the longest amount of times, the carrots after because I'm not looking for that much color on the carrot, and the garlic goes in now because the garlic has the highest capacity, the highest risk of it potentially burning. So it goes inside, and we're always on a medium-low heat, my friends. Medium-low heat, scraping up the edges, and now the smell of the frying garlic, guys. The smell of the frying garlic, it's all coming together. We're taking it and we're mixing it all up, and then we're taking it and we're pushing down the sides because we don't want any garlic to stick to the sides of the pan. The oil, my friends, it is getting infused, it is getting aromatic, it is getting, above all else, flavorful. And now we have fried the garlic. We have truly, properly, beautifully fried it in all of that oil, okay, alongside the onions. It is now time for the tomato paste. Tomato paste also needs to fry in the oil. We want to just fry it a little bit. We want to infuse the oil. We don't just want boiled tomato paste, my friends, because this is how we build flavor. Also, did I splash oil on myself? The answer is maybe. I think I might have. Okay. Let's mix in the tomato paste, my friends. Medium heat, mixing it in, and we want to fry this tomato paste. We want to fry out the raw taste in it. We want it to get nice and slightly caramelized. This Turkish lentil soup, guys, it is so easy. It uses such basic ingredients. Okay, that is the beauty of a dish like this. That is a very concentrated tomato paste. You're absolutely right. We're frying it, my friends. We're building flavor. We're infusing the oil, all for the sake of obtaining some incredibly delicious lentils at the end of the day. So the tomato paste, the garlic, the onions, there's no spices in here. We're keeping it really simple. We're keeping it really, really easy, okay? We're going to add in some salt to help permeate all of my different vegetables. Nice big hit of salt, guys. Just goes inside. Awesome. And now we'll just stir it in. We'll stir it in. Okay? My tomato paste, my garlic, we don't want to push it any further. So all that we're going to do now, the last step before we add in water, also thank you so much to Moose for the sub. Thank you. We're going to go in now, my friends, with my lovely red lentils. All of them inside. All of them go in now. And we're going to just mix them all up. Get all of them inside. Come on, buddy. Tap, tap, tap, tap, tap. Thank you very much. I lost a couple, but that's okay. Get all of my lentils inside, and let's mix it up, my friends. Let's mix it up. Let's have the lentils just soak everything up here. Let's soak them all up. And we don't need to fry the lentils or anything. Nothing crazy like that. There you go. All of my lentils. Everybody, potatoes and the water. Nope, the potatoes are going in now. Potatoes. And last but not least, a little bit of water. Actually, not a little bit of water. We need enough to properly cover everything. We want to submerge this pot. This is a soup. This isn't a stew. We want to submerge it. Cover it all up in a bunch of water, my friends. And now, all that we have to do, bring this up to a boil, drop it to a simmer, and then we go ahead and we let all of this cook down. Have I ever thought about adding some rice? Did you mean like adding rice into the soup itself? So guys, take a look. That is just how simple it is. That's just how easy it is. Also, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Thank you, thank you. Let's go ahead and get the rest of my lentils inside of the pot. We have a hype train. Very nice. Thank you guys. You guys are very sweet to me. Let's just go ahead and stir this around. And I want to deglaze this pan, everybody. What does it mean to deglaze? When food cooks. Okay, actually, we're going to explain something. Is there anybody here that does not know what deglazing is? I want to hear a nice me chef from anybody that has maybe heard this term before. And if somebody knows the answer, I don't want you to answer it. I don't want you to spoil the surprise. I want to go into a nice in-depth explanation of what it actually means to deglaze something. So is there somebody here who doesn't know who it is? Deep sea fish, and that's one. Did I change the heat for boiling? Yes, we're cranking up the heat because now we want to get the water simmering. Awesome. Okay, that's really good. Nice. I'm glad that so many people don't know what this is. So everybody, what does it mean to deglaze something? Well, first, let's talk about a piece of meat. Let's talk about a steak. What is the structure of a steak? A very nice, rough conceptual way to look at a steak is it is fibers of meat, and then suspended in between the fibers of meat is some liquid. That's not exactly how it works, but for the sake of it, that is what we're going to talk about today. That liquid contains proteins from the beef. That liquid contains proteins from the meat. When you cook meat, you're essentially pushing it out. It's constricting like squeezing a sponge. It pushes out this liquid that contains these proteins, and then the water evaporates and it leaves these proteins stuck to the bottom of the pan. With vegetables, think of something like an onion, guys. Think of something like an onion. With an onion, it releases its liquid. That onion liquid is full of starches. It's full of sugars. It's really, really sweet. That onion liquid, once it evaporates, all of those sugars, they stick to the bottom of the pan. So what does it mean to actually deglaze something? It means to get those stuck starches on the bottom of a pan, the stuck proteins, back dissolved into something using a little bit of liquid. Sometimes people use wine, sometimes people use, whatever they really want for this, right? In my case, just plain old water. So that's what it means to deglaze. We have all of the stuck sugars from the tomato paste. We have all of the stuck sugars from the onions on the bottom of the pan. You'll see them. They're like these little visible brown specks, right? The more that you cook them, the darker that they're actually going to end up getting. And all that we do, that's why we scrape up the sides. That's why we scrape up the bottom. Okay, because we want to get all of it dissolved and into my lovely lentil soup, guys. Look at that color. It's vibrant. It's orange from the tomato paste. It is vibrant from the lentils. And I am just going to take a quick little second to put a couple of things away. Because remember, this is a home cooking show. So in a home cooking show, what do? We clean as we go. I want to teach you the fundamentals to what it means to cook at home. We are now in passive time, my friends. Okay? Passive time, meaning there is nothing for us to actively immediately do. All we really need to do is just to get these lentils up to a nice little boil. Bring them up to a boil, drop it to a simmer, 15 to 20 minutes until the potatoes are soft, until my lentils are soft, and then we'll blend it all up. But then in a second, we'll actually add in some mint as well. Mint was a pretty traditional accompaniment inside of the soup. Some dried mint, that is. Okay? So I'm just washing up a couple of things, putting away a couple of things, just throwing that all into my dishwasher. Guys, remember, when you cook at home, before you begin cooking, unless it's something you're throwing together in 2 minutes, ideally, clean your sink, clean your kitchen, clean out the dishwasher. Make sure that everything is empty and ready to go. The thing that is never gonna make you wanna cook at home, okay, is if you have a full dishwasher and then you have a sink full of dishes at the end of it and you're like, wow, this sucks. I can't stand doing this. Why am I doing this to myself? Chef, what is the best use for proliferation? What does proliferation mean? Cleaning as you go sounds tiring, but it's important. It's absolutely important. That's how you stop yourself from being burnt out on cooking. What would I do with all of those chives? So that's a difficult question to answer. And that's because chives are so intense. It's kind of difficult to use a lot of them all at once. Chives are so intense that you do just truly use that little of them. So, I mean, aside from garnishing and using in herbs, I don't really know a nice way to get rid of something that is so concentrated. So I feel like that is I'm sorry if that's like a bit of a non-answer to your question here. I just actually truthfully do not know how to answer it. Okay? So I apologize for not being very helpful in this case. But, you know, we do what we gotta do. Oh, guys, the meatballs. The meatballs are about to come out. Best leftover eating cold other than salads? I do like a cold steak, I have to say. Like a cold steak, nice and medium rare, nice and chewy, feels like roast beef, awesome. Guys, look at the lentil soup. Look at this lentil soup. Look at this thing. Look at the color on it. It's golden, it's orange, it's beautiful. It's gonna be so simple. It's gonna be so delicious. I'm just stirring it up, again, making sure that it's just evenly cooking. And again, we don't really have to worry about using too high of a heat because all of it is going to turn into mush anyways. It's all still just going to get blended down into one lovely, delicious concoction at the end of it. Everybody, the meatballs, they're about to come out. It is time for us to inspect it. Kaze, well, we baked the meatballs. They're in the oven. They're about to come out though. So I think actually what I want to do is maybe I'm going to have the lentils here for a moment. I'm going to have the lentils here boiling and simmering away because now I want to just take out the meatballs. I want to show you all what it looks like. You ready? It's going to be hopefully, here's what I'm envisioning. I want to hear a nice yes, chef. I want to make sure that all of you are listening. I want to see a bubbling cauldron of sauce and nice soft meatballs on the top. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these towels. Just get those ready to go for me to take out of the oven. They've been cooking in the low and slow. Low and slow is ideal for the meatball. And yes, Kazi, I am aware of this problem. So don't worry about that. That is electromagnetic stuff. Okay, hopefully a bubbling, boiling cauldron. That is what I will find on the inside of these things. And if not, that will be quite upsetting, actually. Okay, and let's just go ahead and pick it up. I ended up dribbling some on the sides of my pots. Oh, that is heavy. Those are my cauldrons. Those are my lovely little clay pots, guys. Little is maybe the wrong choice of words here. Whew. My hair tie just keeps on falling out. That's a little bit tragic. Okay. Okay, and now, hopefully, this looks nice on the inside. That is my hope. And then I'll just be inspecting one of the meatballs to make sure that it was cooked through. And then I'll be inspecting the potato to also subsequently make sure that it was cooked through. Ready? Let's go ahead and have a little look-skis. Can I pick this up like this? Ooh, that does actually look quite nice on the inside, I think. The meatballs, the sauce, all of it in there. Oh, that is a hot lid though. So I do need to set that down expeditiously. I do think that actually looks quite nice. Oof. Oh, wrong one. Ah! I wanted to go to this. Thank you. I want to see, can I get all of my lids on these guys? Just popped up. And guys, you know what? I think the meatballs, I think they actually stayed quite intact, didn't they? Look at the sauce. Look at the sauce. And then we have all of those vegetables that are just chilling under it. Oh yeah, wait. Those meatballs stayed a lot more intact than I thought that they would. And need a little bit time more. I honestly think that this is a good amount of time. We don't want to overcook the meatballs. You overcook the meatballs and they'll be dry and they'll be crumbly and they'll be falling apart, and that's not what I'm looking for. Honestly, for me, I think that looks pretty good. We're going to pick up one of them, okay? And yeah, I never use hot pads. I only use towels because hot pads, they're a little bit too thick for like such delicate work like this. Oh, did I get that inside? No, I did not. Okay, awesome. Ooh, that is a hefty amount of oil that came out, but that is okay. Okay, I think I want to go ahead and just have a little sample of one of them and just see how it's going. And then, guys, we'll cut back to the lentils and just show off that cooking process. But the lentils, they're getting nice and soft. They're taking in the liquid. I'm just scraping down the edges of my pan really quickly, and then we'll head back to that. Okay, guys, I think it is time for us just to plate up one of the little meatballs, and then I want to taste it. I want to taste it alongside the potato, okay? Let's check the seasoning. Let's just see how it all tastes. Let's see how it all looks. Okay, let's have a little snack, everybody. Let's have a little treat. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to go ahead and scoop some of it up. Let's get this guy right here. Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and get a nice generous amount of the sauce. Let's get the bell pepper. And then hopefully I'll be able to also somewhere find a potato shortly. There you go. There's the potato in there. A little bit of the sauce. Oh, the beef cooking liquid. There you go. Let's have a little sample, my friends. It just came out. Well, that's okay. I actually don't mind Great Nino Nano. I think that's totally okay. Everybody, you ready to have a little taste? I know it doesn't look the most appealing now that it's like out and about on a plate like this, but I'm sure that it will be lovely. If anything, actually, I think my potatoes might be a little too firm. That is my only concern at the moment. No. That's a really good texture on a potato. Probably put it back in. Another 10 minutes or so. Longer on the potatoes. Okay, yep. Let's go ahead and slap a lid back on them, guys. 10 more minutes. 10 to 15 more minutes, definitely, for the potatoes. Okay, that was the one concern that I had, and my fears turned out to be true, but that's okay. So we'll just slap a lid back on all of them. Let's not lose too much heat. I should have probably put a lid back on it immediately, but that's okay. It'll get back up to a boil really quickly. And I'm just going to go ahead and get that back into the oven, my friends. So yeah, that's why we inspected it. That's why we gave it a little bit of a taste. We have confirmed that the potatoes are not where we want them to be yet. But that's okay, because they will still get there, everybody. They will still get there. They will still cook up exactly the way that we want them. So back into the oven they all go. Setting a timer for about 15 minutes or so. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my lovely pot of lentils back on this. Okay, let's have a little taste of the meatball though in the meantime. Oh guys, that meatball, nice and soft all the way throughout. Let's have a little taste. Am I worried that the time might hurt the meatballs a little bit? But that's okay. Guys, that meatball is perfect. And I know it's not seared, I know it's nothing crazy like that, but that is so tender. Guys, that has so much flavor. That meatball, from the cumin, from the Turkish red pepper, from the sauteed onions, from this tomato sauce that we have in here as well. And I know this doesn't look all that impressive at the moment, but let me tell you right now, that is incredible. Nino Nano, it's okay. We have a pretty big buffer considering that they're made with a lot of bread. So that's not a concern. You don't have to worry about it too much. I think it'll be okay. I'm not gonna micro it that much. It's a meatball. I promise you all, it'll be okay. And the pepper. That's so nice. Yeah, potatoes a little under, but it's still lovely. You know, I'm actually giving this idea a lot of merit. I'm thinking about it. We could probably just take out the meatballs and continue to bake it by itself, but what's the fun in that? I could have probably just cut the potatoes thinner. Guys, that is good. That's lovely. It's super, super delicious. The sauce, the sauce took in all of the meatball liquid, all of the fat from the beef, everything that it pushed out, just gave this sauce some really, really serious flavor, my friends. That's what I'm talking about. That is awesome. Guys, let's go back to the lentil soup in the meantime. Let's see how it's doing. It's getting nice and thick now, right? That is all of the lentils becoming saturated with all of that cooking liquid. We may need to dilute this a little bit further. But in the meantime, I have a feeling that that just looks lovely. Yeah, a little bit more water in there. Get it a little bit thinner. Oh, there you go. It's cooking up. It looks excellent at the moment. Whew. Guys, that was a good meatball. That was so simple. That was one of the best meatballs I've made in a long time. Okay, really quickly, we're gonna infuse these lentils, guys. We need to infuse them with some mint. So let me show you the mint that I have here, that I have dedicated for the purpose. And actually, I may also end up using some Turkish red pepper for some extra oomph. So take a look. This is my Turkish red pepper. It actually tasted delicious. It tasted really, really yummy inside of the meatballs. So I think I'm going to be giving this a nice generous pinch of that, just right inside. I'm not going to measure anything, of course, but I'm going to keep it quite light on the pepper because the goal of this lentil soup is for it to be very light. The goal of it is to be light and creamy, and the way that we achieve that is with, of course, a little bit of mint. Mint's super traditional to have in this. So some dried mint here, okay? And guys, you do not want to overdo it with the mint. You overdo it with the mint, and then there is no coming back from it. So you can always add more later on. But right now, less is more. Small, small pinch. Can I please get a yes, chef, from everybody watching? Small little pinch of dried mint directly inside. Small little tiny pinch. If you do too much, you cannot go back. Too much, and it becomes like quite unpleasant. But a little bit of mint in just the right amount, you get a really, really beautiful product. So just mix it all back up, mix it all back through. Awesome. This lentil soup, guys, is going to be excellent. And so it just needs to boil. It just needs to cook. The lentils need to become falling apart. The potatoes need to fall apart. The carrots need to fall apart. Can fresh mint work? I think so. I think so. Yeah, I think that would be good. You would just probably need to use very little of it. You would want to use a very small quantity of it. Okay. Everybody, the last thing that I want to get done is I just want to slice up some parsley and some lemon for my garnish today. Because you can't have a lentil soup without parsley, and you can't have it without lentils. Well, without lemon, excuse me. Okay, so everybody, you already know what's about to happen to this parsley, and we don't need too much for today. As you all may know, parsley, other kinds of fresh herbs like cilantro, like basil, okay? They're all incredibly, incredibly volatile. What does that mean? The more that we crush it, the more that we chop it, the more that its flavor ends up leaching out and the faster that it ends up turning brown. Guys, we are going to be so gentle in processing this parsley that you have no idea. So why am I getting rid of the stems? Especially in a raw context as a garnish, okay? It is really, really woody. Also, replacements for salt, the great Nino, I'm not actually familiar with any salt replacements. So all we're just taking this and we're removing this from the stems. And everybody, here's what I do not want you all to do. I want to hear, yes, chef, I need to make sure that all of you are listening. We are never going to chop it. We are never going to destroy it. We're never going to do what is called a rock chop. They put the tip of their knife down. That's not enough yes chefs, by the way. They put the tip of their knife down and they rock it all the way around. It is a wasted maneuver. You're grinding your nice knife against your hard wooden cutting board, okay? And all that you're doing is you're destroying the herbs that you're trying to slice, and you're destroying the ones that you're trying to process. Guys, give them love. Be gentle and be delicate, okay? Be gentle and be delicate. And so here's what we do. We don't chop. There is no vertical force. We slice, guys. We slice. We don't chop. We slice. Now, I use the back of my knife to really scare you guys. I love doing that to people. I'm so comfortable with knives, and I'm like, ooh. Anyways, so we slice it, my friends. So here's what we do. We need a nice sharp knife, rule number one. We take it, we bundle it up in our hands. This has been thoroughly washed. Nice, beautiful, fresh parsley. Hold it like a little baby bird. Not so gently that it flies away, and not so firmly that you crush its little brains out. You hold the baby bird in your hand, and you put it down onto your cutting board. You're going to keep it bundled up as much as possible, Okay, this bundle is kind of small, so it's a little difficult to do this. So just try to roll it up again, we're not crushing it, we're just holding all of it down. And guys, here's what we do. We slice it, we slice it, we slice it. We use the full length of a knife. We're barely applying any vertical force whatsoever. We slice it as thin as we can go because parsley tends to have a papery texture if it's not sliced thin enough. So we slice it, and we slice it, and we slice it, guys. We're slicing all the way through. This is exactly what you want to see. And take a look at what's happening. How many times have you minced herbs and you've gotten basically the bottom of your cutting board to be wet and then it ended up turning brown? How many of you has that happened to? Okay, so we take it and we slice. We slice. And we're able to get beautiful, thin, green pieces of parsley without destroying them. A nice sharp knife and then slicing. That, guys, look, it's not sticking to the cutting board. It's not wet, okay? It is nice and dry and intact because we didn't crush it, we didn't destroy it, we did not massacre it, okay? So, that is my parsley now beautifully sliced. I don't like having, by the way, as a general rule of thumb for me, I hate really big garnishes. I hate like big leaves, okay? I just find it to be really difficult to eat at the end of the day. And so, I like to slice stuff like this really, really thin, okay? There you go. That is all of my parsley that we're going to need as garnish. And then last but not least, and actually maybe the most important step is going to be the lemon. Because this lentil soup that I grew up eating, guys, I would always have it with a nice generous wedge of lemon. You would pour it onto the soup at the end of it and it would just be incredible. Oh, look at the soup, my friends. Look at the color. Look how golden it is. Look how gorgeous it is. Okay, we do not mess around here. Look at that soup. Look at that soup, okay? So let's go ahead and get the last of this parsley off, okay? And now I'm thinking nice little, nice little lemon wedge, right? Just something that you can go ahead and just squeeze in. And I'm just going to, oh man, this has so much flesh. Okay, I'm going to do myself a little favor here, and I'm just going to get rid of the seeds. Do I use loyal at all? I'm not sure what that is. I'll just get rid of the seeds just to make my eating a little bit easier later on. Okay, awesome. And guys, I don't really think you can even overcook this lentil soup because we're really just trying to get it to turn into mush. We get it to turn into mush, we blend it down, and we finish it. Nice and easy. Okay. So this lemon I'm going to go ahead and do away with. I'm going to put that back into my fridge from whence it came. I'm going to start getting my stick blender ready. And all that we're really looking for is we're looking for the carrots to get soft. We're looking for the potatoes to get soft. But yeah, I'm completely unfamiliar with using loyal in any cooking contests. So guys, my lemons, my parsley for some garnish. Let's head back to the lentils. Hi, Liam. Welcome on in. It's lovely to have you. So take a look. This is what we're looking for, guys. We're looking for the lentils to collapse. We want this whole pot. We want it all to get really, really soft, okay? I don't really think that you can overcook it, to be honest. And you can see the water is naturally thickening. Oh, look at that color. Look how simple it is. Look how cheap it is. And yet, I promise you, this has so much flavor. I'm going to have just a little taste of it as it is, and it doesn't have the full flavor. Because once we blend the carrots and once we blend in the onions, that's when it will all fully permeate. But now, just by itself, guys. By itself, delicious. That is so simple. That is so good. That is so delicious. I'm really pushing it on the amount of mint that I actually ended up adding to it. But that is wonderful. That is so close to being done, everybody. I just want to see the texture of the carrot. Those are the chunks that I'm really the most concerned about. So I'm going to pull out a carrot and I'm going to taste it. And if the carrot is soft, then we will proceed with the blending. And I'm also going to add in a nice big hit of salt if I can find it. That is the salt. Awesome. Okay, salt goes inside. There you go. Just a lot easier to get the salt in now as opposed to later. And then we can just adjust it for the seasoning at the very end of the process. There you go. So let's taste the carrot. Is my carrot soft yet? Could probably just use a few more minutes and it'll be perfect. A few more minutes and it will be golden. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and, So the great Nino Nano, here's the thing that you need to understand. These are red lentils. Red and yellow lentils, they cook up super, super quickly because they already have the skin taken off of them. Black lentils, green lentils, brown lentils, they have the skin on them. Red lentils, yellow lentils, they are split. They're split and they don't have the skin on them. So they take a lot less time to actually cook them through. So this specific variety of lentils, but then also I'm not sure when people say like, oh, lentils take a long time to cook. I don't know what they mean. If you slowly simmer, like brown, black lentils, then yeah, I understand that. But even green lentils, they cooked up really fast for me. So I don't know. Okay, everybody, I'm gonna go get my stick blender ready to go for today. Just make sure that that is in action. I'm going to just make sure that I have some extra water in my kettle as needed. Okay, just a couple more minutes, everybody, and then she will be ready for us. Are these lentils sweeter than black ones? Good question. I actually don't think I'm very well equipped to answer this. I forgot which one it is, but red lentils and yellow lentils, they do come from black and brown lentils, is the thing. They're just them with the skin off. Now, I forgot which ones red ones come from, and I forgot which ones yellow ones come from. But they're just peeled lentils. That's all that they are. Effectively, okay? So, are they sweeter? I wouldn't be able to tell you. But they just fall apart more. They turn into mush. They turn really soft because they don't have the husks protecting them from falling apart. Okay, there is my stick blender. Got it all ready to go. And I just want to make sure that I have a nice flat plate. And in 2 minutes' time, we will pull out the meatballs once again. And then we will be ready. Tough stream for the ahead of time. That's right. Yeah, it's pretty brutal today. Why is everything as sheet? No reason, Jack. I'm just kind of messing around. I'm just hanging out. That's all there really is to it. Okay. Cooking it down a little bit more, getting it all nice and thick. Yeah, no, this hairband, guys, it is totally gone. Okay. A few more seconds, we'll pull out the meatballs once and for all. Okay. Okay, so that didn't go by so badly, I think, right? I think we got everything done in a timely manner. There wasn't too much downtime. Okay? Everybody, it's time. The meatballs can come out now. They're bubbling away in those cauldrons. The resting place, the tomb. Oh, that is a heavy, heavy tray. Ugh. Yeah, that's a lot of cookware that I just picked up all at once. Okay, I'm strong. I can get things done. Everybody, it's time for us to blend. Is everybody ready? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, from everybody watching. The potatoes are cooked. The lentils are cooked. The carrots are cooked. It is now time to go from a fairly flavorless soup into actually properly blending everything in, getting everything evenly incorporated. This is where we transform this into my favorite Turkish soup that I ate growing up. Again, grew up at a lot of Turkish immigrants here, a lot of Turkish restaurants. It is so cheap. It is so delicious, everybody. Now, why do we use a stick blender? Why do we use an immersion blender? Immersion blenders are very nice because you get to use them in a hot pot like so. Right? You can just go directly into the pot. Now, we need to talk about stick blender safety really quickly. You see these holes? These need to be fully and generously submerged, everybody. If they're not submerged, they're going to end up painting your kitchen a new color altogether. So, make sure that they're submerged and make sure that you have a place to put this. Great, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the chat with me because the blending process may take some time. Now, as for how much you blend is entirely up to you. I have seen lentil soups like this actually be purposefully remained a little bit chunky. Does Chef have an immersion blender recommendation? Honestly, for equipment recommendations, I typically just go to Serious Eats for them. But in my case, this is just an old KitchenAid one. This is pretty, it's not very new. So guys, heat is off. We're going to start off on the lowest speed. We're just going to take this around and first start off by breaking up any big chunks. Low speed, because if we do a high speed, it will immediately splash up. Because you have big chunks in there, high speed, it will splash. You first break it up into little chunks on a low speed, and then you eventually turn it up onto the high speed. And guys, you can see it's getting beautiful and it's getting creamy. and it's becoming the final lentil soup consistency. We're looking for it to be quite runny. We don't want it to be like very thick. We don't want it to be very viscous. Okay, this is supposed to be home comfort food, my friends. Favorite movie you can watch anytime? Spaceballs. Well, I don't even watch movies that often, but that is just my favorite movie. I don't know about movies I can watch all the time. And now, my friends, we move on to the greater speed, and we begin doing the immersion blending. Take a look at this. Look at this beautiful lentil soup that we are developing, my friends. Look at it. Favorite food movie? I haven't watched that many food movies, but if I had to say, I would say The Big Night. I love The Big Night. This is giving you flashbacks to the soup your mom made you when you were sick? Well, I hope these are good flashbacks in that case. So guys, keep it blending. Keep it blending, keep it blending, keep it blending. We want to get all of those chunks out of there. We want the soup to be seasoned. Look how smooth it is. Do you guys see this texture? Do you see this viscosity? It is golden. It is essentially butter. Look at it, look at it. Oh, we gotta go just to the stove shop because I might just end up using this for my thumbnail. Look, everybody, I want you all to say yes, chef. I want you all to appreciate the simplicity of this lentil soup. This is cheap ingredients, everybody. Cheap ingredients. Lentils, one of the cheapest things that you could possibly buy. Potatoes, carrots, onions, water, and a little bit of dried mint. Look at it, my friends. Look how velvety it becomes. This is nutritious, and it's cheap, and it's so easy to do in a home setting. That's why I keep raving like a lunatic about it. Okay? Because this is something that I firmly believe that everybody should be doing in a home setting. These are all incredibly cheap ingredients. This is incredibly accessible. The only piece of equipment that you really need is an immersion blender, and I think everybody should own an immersion blender. They're very multi-purpose. Can use so many things for it. Okay? So I'm just continuing to go through it all. I'm continuing to just whip all of it up. Look at this thing, my friends. Look at this lentil soup. Do you see how creamy it is? Do you see how golden it is, guys? It's not too thick. I want it to be nice and light. This is supposed to be the kind of a soup that you can just slurp. Chef, let's not forget the meatballs kaze. They're already out here. The meatballs have already been taken out of the oven. I'm not going to burn myself on them, excuse me. But, okay. And now, every now and then, I'm just going to go back with my spoon and scrape it down and just move things around in case I have any pockets of ingredients that did not get fully blended. Okay? So take it, and we move it around, and we move it around, and we move it around. Awesome. Ooh. It's getting nice and creamy, my friends. Look at that viscosity. It is golden. And we are just about done. Again, I'm just doing this until I'm confident that I have no chunks whatsoever remaining. And there we go. Guys, I think that is going to do it for my lentil soup blending. Let us have, however, before we finish this up, before we unplug the blender, guys, we need to have a taste. We need to make sure that it is properly seasoned. Because the easiest way to salt it is when you still have access to a blender. So, let's taste it. Let's taste it for salt. So good. Guys, come on. Are we serious? That is so good. That is the taste that I grew up with. That is the taste that I go out for in restaurants, for Turkish restaurants, except, I'm not gonna lie, mine is even smoother. That viscosity in there, incredible. Little bit of salt additionally. Esther Choi, so I just don't have much interest in her. She's just a restaurateur to me. Right. Big pinch of salt. It'll just really kick it up a notch, okay? And let's just go back in there. Let's blend it all up once and for all. And that is going to be my lentil soup, guys. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. There you go. And I think that's perfect. Guys, We have done it. That is my lentil soup. My plate here all ready to go. Look at it. Look at that texture. Look at that viscosity. Look how beautiful she is. Look how creamy she is. Look how elegant it is. Nice and smooth, not a lump in sight. It is luxurious, and yet it is made with just about some of the cheapest ingredients that you could possibly buy. This, guys, is made out of cheap lentils, cheap onions, cheap potatoes, cheap carrots, garlic, and a little bit of dried mint, a little bit of tomato paste, and you get this incredible viscosity. Look at it go. And we're gonna finish it up, we're gonna dress it up. It is cheap, it is delicious, it is nutritious. This is why I keep shilling lentils. This is why I keep shilling this specific lentil soup. Not only is this something that I'm really nostalgic for, not only do I love Turkish cuisine and I really wanna get into it more, okay? It is just so simple to do, and anybody can do this at home. Anybody, after a work day. If you didn't go as slowly as I did, guys, this is the kind of a thing it takes 30 minutes to whip together, and it is infinitely reheatable, because at the end of the day, it's a soup. You put this in the fridge, you take it in a thermos with you to work. That's what I'm gonna do tomorrow for my cooking teaching job. I pack my own lunch with me. I'm gonna pack this lentil soup. Simple, luxurious, sweet, flavorful. It has everything that you could possibly want inside of it, guys. Look at that lentil soup. Okay, that is enough glazing, as the Zoomers would say. I think that's enough glazing. Let's go ahead and begin to plate up the food, and let's get out of here once and for all, everybody. Okay, so is everybody ready for the plating? I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please, and thank you. So let's grab a nice little bowl. I'm going to grab a nice portion of this lentil soup. We're going to put it directly inside. 1 ladle and 2 ladles. It's dense. It has everything you could possibly want in it, guys. And I do mean everything. But it's still light. That's what I was looking for, guys. I was looking for a lentil soup that was light. Is there anything wrong with using cheddar and spinach pasta? Absolutely not. You can absolutely use cheddar and spinach pasta. Why not? An Italian would make fun of you, but they also don't know what they're talking about usually. Okay? So, guys, take a look, take a look. And now let's finish it off. Let's finish off this lovely lentil soup that I have here, okay? Just frame it a little bit better for us. Okay? Take that, and now what are we gonna do? We're going to do a little bit of lemon juice, because you guys, you cannot have lentil soup without lemon juice. Okay? Lemon juice directly on top. And I love the way that it just sort of almost dots it around. And I love mine with lots of lemon juice. I love it with an aggressive, and I do truly mean an aggressive amount of lemon juice. And then, if you'd like to get a little fancy with it, a little teeny tiny glug of olive oil. Well, not glug, actually, just a streak of it. We're gonna just do gentle, gentle, gentle. And just go this way as well. There you go. A little drizzle of olive oil. And then last but not least, let's do some parsley in here. Little bit of parsley, not too much. And then last but not least, a dusting of black pepper directly on top. Everybody, that is my Turkish lentil soup. I want you all to bask in its glory. Look how simple it is. Could you top it with cream? No, Turina. No cream in this. This is supposed to be light. This is supposed to be entirely vegan. I would not do any cream. I want to keep it light. You don't need cream. Look at it. Does that need cream? I don't think that needs any cream. Guys, this is my lentil soup. Gorgeous red lentils. We fried up a bunch of onions in a plethora of olive oil, because you can't have Turkish food without olive oil. Garlic, carrots, tomato paste, lentils, a little bit of potato, little tiny bit of potato for the viscosity. We let it all cook. Guys, this has no cream. This is all the thickening power, the natural thickening power of the lentils, right? It's a really good soup. It is a soup that I grew up eating. Anytime I would go to a Turkish restaurant, this is a habit that I picked up on ordering. I love Turkish food. I grew up in a very Turkish neighborhood. I love introducing people to Turkish food, and this is so simple. No cream. It's protein filled, and it's cheap, and it's easy to do at home. Do you guys, I'm going to say this again, protein-filled, cheap, easy, reheatable. This is perfect home cooking. This is what home cooking should be. This is exactly what it means to cook at home. Okay? And a little bit of mint at the end for that aroma. Let's have a little taste, my friends. Look at the viscosity. Look how smooth that is. Cheers. Come on. Come on. So smooth, so creamy. Does it go well with spicy? Absolutely it does. Yeah, little red pepper in there is also really nice to have. That is perfect. That, guys, come on. That is so silky. That is so flavorful. Oh. Oh, that's so good. That is better than the ones that I have in restaurants, you know that? That's just better. I do it different. We do it different here. You do it like me, we do it different. So simple, minimal ingredients. We're just showcasing the produce and we're showcasing how amazing the lentil is. This costs almost nothing to make. Again, onions, carrots, potatoes, lentils, garlic, tomato paste, and a little bit of dried mint. That's all that there is. It is the cheapest possible ingredients that you could buy. It is so nutritious. This is what you need to be making. You all need to make this. I need to hear a yes, chef from everybody watching. Right now, please and thank you. And then, I already had a meatball. I don't really want more at the moment. I just want to show you my gorgeous cauldron of meatballs that we've just had baking away. I'm just going to go ahead and take out one of them. Oof. All right, come on, little buddy. Let's go with me, please. Okay, hopefully I can carry this without it falling apart. Okay, there you go. Guys, and then we have this. This is İzmir Köfte. I think that's how you say it. İzmir Köfte, something like that. We have on the bottom these really lovely bell peppers and these really, really lovely potatoes. And we have this tomato sauce that has soaked up all of the juices from the meatballs, the potatoes, the tomato sauce, the bell peppers. This is also a treat. This would be perfect with rice. I did not make any rice for you today, unfortunately, but it would still be so, so delicious, guys. All of that sauce, all of that dripping. Typically when you make meatballs, you lose all of that sauce. By cooking it inside of the same tomato sauce, guys, we keep all of it in there. And all of it just there to flavor the vegetables. Let's just try some of the sauce. Let's just try the sauce. Ready? That is hot, that is spicy, and that is flavorful, and that is delicious. It has the liquid from the vegetables. It is perfectly seasoned. Awesome. Look at that little cauldron, guys. And that's it. And that's going to do it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for being here. Everybody, if you would like to know whenever the next streams are, join my Discord, !Discord, or go into the About section or scroll down. Join the community. We have a lovely community. It's a really nice place to be. I would love to see some of you guys there interacting with all of us. Okay? We will not be rating anybody today, Serena. I'm sorry. Okay, second of all, guys, if you want to continue to support the show, if you want to really, really support the show, my goal is to be able to do this full-time one day. There is a Patreon. A Patreon is a very nice way of directly getting some money into my pocket through this. Okay, so you can type in !Patreon and go into the About section. Why am I shilling the Patreon? Why am I doing this? My goal is to keep all of this information free. I'm never taking sponsors and I'm never turning on ads on Twitch. I can't turn off the pre-roll ads, but I'm minimizing as many different external influences. My goal is I want to keep all of my information free and publicly available for everybody to consume. My goal is to change the way that people cook at home, and my goal is to also be able to do this full-time one day. The Patreon does not give you any content. I refuse to paywall reproducible information. The Patreon exists for those that if you have a little bit of extra money, it's a really nice way of supporting me. And if you don't, guess what? The streams will still always be here. Patreon, directly support it. If not, it will always be free. There is nothing paywalled. All of the information is out here. And so I rely on the goodness of everybody's hearts to go ahead and donate because you got nothing in return. Everybody, thank you all for being here. Next stream, we're off this Friday, we're off this Sunday. I'm going to be out of town. I'll be doing some announcements as to what I'll be doing. So you can follow my Twitter, you can check out the Discord. Okay, I'm going to be back next week, Wednesday, then every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Okay, so today is currently May 1st. We're going to be back on May 8th, 5 p.m. EDT, and then afterwards, every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Thank you all. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your night. Be safe, be well, make some lentil soup. Go join my Discord and show me the lentil soup that you make. Goodbye, everybody. I will see you all in 7 days' time.